Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah.
Would you?
I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
Attorney General.
What is it? What is it about humanity that wants to go to all the details and stuff and listen? You know, these guys like Fauci get up there and start talking. You know, he doesn't know anything really about anything, and I'd say that to his face. Nothing. The man thinks you can take a blood sample and stick it in an electron microscope, and if it's got a virus in there, you'll know it.
What's going on, everybody? Today, we're going to watch the video of Trump saying if he wins, he was asked the question, would you declassify the Epstein files, the JFK files, and the 9/11 files? And Trump said yes to all three. We're going to watch that video. I'm going to give you my reaction. Then we're going to watch a classic. Kary Mullis, the inventor of the PCR test, I made a whole documentary biography type video about him during the pandemic, got millions of views, got deleted off of Facebook. So we're going to run this one back because it doesn't include some of the other clips. I'll probably post them on X, but Kary Mullis really summed up the Anthony Fauci thing 20, 30 years ago. And then I'll talk about the Fauci hearings. Also, I wanted to get these news stories. If you guys stay till the end, Biden is closing the border because the election's coming up after 4 years of leaving it open. We're going to look at that story. The Amazon got the internet through Elon Musk's Starlink, and some of these remote tribes that have never had the internet, now they do. And apparently the first thing they started doing was getting obsessed with pornography and social media. Not surprising. I don't know what they thought were going to happen. Maybe they thought they were going to get like a PhD in microbiology, or maybe meet a wife in Afghanistan, or maybe watch Mr. Beast on YouTube. But instead, seems like the Amazonians are just jerking off. So we're going to look at that story. A lot of other stuff. I don't want to get into it, but Dream Rare Podcast starts now. Give me a thumbs up in the chat and also on the video for the algorithm. Appreciate you guys.
It's the Dream Rare Podcast. Welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from obstacles. Yeah.
What's going on, Brett, Phaedra, Stephen, Craig, Jesus Christ is something I can't see your whole name. Sean Callahan, me. That's kind of trippy. Someone's name is me. Luckily, I'm sober, just off the Americano right now, or else you might ruin my entire stream. Self-reflection. I'm like, did I just message myself? But anyway, jokes aside, what people probably came for was the title, which I'm going to go over first. And since I'm not going to talk about this for an hour, I have a lot of other interesting stuff that I'm excited to play and react to. But here's the first one. I heard people say Trump says he's going to release the JFK files. He released a few, but I don't think he released like the super important deep ones. But he did release some under his watch. I'll give him credit. And I actually remember some of which ones he did release, which were shocking to say the least. But here's the clip. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section as well. Here's the clip of Donald Trump saying, you know, or rather Fox News asked him the question, will you release 9/11, JFK, and the Epstein files? And Trump says yes to all three. Let's watch.
Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah.
Would you?
I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
Attorney.
So that was his answer. I'm going to play it again because I just want you guys to look at it before I say something. So let me know in the comments before I say anything. I'm just curious, without my influence, what do you think he will or he won't, based off of just in general what you know in this clip? I'm going to watch it one more time, then we'll react.
Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah.
Would you?
I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
Attorney General.
Almost everybody's saying they don't believe him, like literally everyone. So we'll just move on. Yeah, the reason I don't believe him is a few reasons. But once again, for those who are like super sensitive on this topic, I'm not hating on him. I'm not. It's just, this is just my reaction to the video. The way he says, yeah, it doesn't, like if you ask somebody and you're like, hey, will you pick me up from the airport? And they're like, yeah, for sure. I got you, my guy. Or if you're like, will you pick me up from the airport? And they're like, yeah, of course. Yeah. Or like, you know, like the vibe of it was kind of like, just like, yeah, whatever you want me to say for the election. Some people in the comments are saying, oh, so, okay, of course, someone on Facebook says, I bet he will. I mean, hope only time will tell, so it's not even worth debating. But some people will say, you know, he could have the first time, or he should have the first time. One thing I will give him credit for, he said, I did release some of the JFK files, and one of them came out in CBS, and one of the JFK files said, had nothing to do with JFK, at least that I don't remember him in the story, but the U.S. government, I don't know, I think it was the CIA, I forget, but they wanted to basically make Castro look bad. So they were going to engage in bombings that were real or simulated. So they said either we're going to sink a boatload of Cubans or we're going to simulate it, which is kind of crazy. Like, they always gaslight you on the media, even on social media, and they say, oh, false flags. That's just like an Alex Jones conspiracy theory, or it's so crazy. And it's like, no, that was in the JFK files that Trump did release. I'm going to look it up real quick because I don't want to get this one wrong. JFK files, Cubans, boatload. I remember that part. Let's see. CBS. JFK files. The CIA plotted to kill Castro and stage bombings in Miami. This is straight off CBS News. It said, according to Operation Mongoose in 1960, the CIA also considered staging terror events in Miami and blaming it on pro-Castro Cubans. Quote, we could develop a communist Cuban terror campaign in the Miami area, in other Florida cities, and even in Washington. We could sink a boatload of Cubans en route to Florida, real or simulated. We could foster attempts on lives of Cuban refugees in the United States, even to the extent of wounding in instances to be widely publicized, exploding a few plastic bombs in carefully chosen spots, the arrest of a Cuban agent, and the release of prepared documents substantiating Cuban involvement also would be helpful in projecting the idea of an irresponsible government. So, I'm not a big Cuba fanatic by any means. I'm not Cuban. I've never been there. It's not really on my radar of countries to care that much about. But with that being said, why would you have to do that in order to make the government look irresponsible? Why can't you just point to how irresponsible the government is and then tell people? If it's so irresponsible, just pick one of the 1,000 irresponsible things that they're doing. Why would you have to sink a boatload of Cubans? Why would you have to wound somebody and make it public and then arrest an agent? That sounds like the whole plot is fake. So this is the world we live in now. I think most smart people realize it, but through political brainwashing and left and right and, hating somebody in politics, there's a large portion of the population. I would say most of them lean left now, just to be honest. Most right-wingers at this point, maybe not 10 years ago and not during 9/11, but at this point, most right-wingers are like, yeah, the government could lie. Yeah, they could probably stage events. Like everybody kind of knows that on the right. For some reason on the left, I don't know what happened or what's going on with them, but they're all like, oh, that's just a right-wing conspiracy theory. And it's like, or it's a declassified JFK document that is actually 100% like proven. And, Trump did release that. It's better than nothing. So I do appreciate that. That came out and everyone should know, like, this thing that they do, it's like, oh, all these bad things happened in history and they ended at World War II and now everything's great. It's like, everything doesn't look great. I mean, I appreciated the optimism, but I don't believe that there were false flags by foreign countries in America and our government and other governments like 50 years ago, but now there's just none. And if you question it, you're hateful or you're racist or anti-Semitic or conspiracy theorist or climate denier or whatever. Like, they got a word for everything. So, that is interesting. Trump did release that. I'm going to listen to the clip again before we move on. This is Trump answering if he'll release the Epstein files.
Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah.
Would you?
I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
Attorney General.
I mean, all of them sounded not confident. The last one sounded the fakest, like Epstein. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, what? Yeah, yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, Epstein files. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I got that. Yeah, totally, bro. I got the files. Yeah. I'm gonna release those for sure. If this is my opinion based on facts, I don't know what you would say, but the Adelson family gave Trump's hundreds of millions of dollars, and a foreign spy got sent home on an Adelson jet back to Israel. That's probably because Trump took hundreds of millions of dollars of donor money. People don't know that. People are starting to figure it out. Whatever. If there was a donor that gave Trump or any of these politicians $100 or $400 million in order to release Julian Assange, they probably would release Julian Assange. If there was some mega donor that was like, here's $100 million, you should release Edward Snowden, they'd probably release Edward Snowden. If there was a mega donor that said, here's $200 million, release those Epstein files, they probably would. But guess what? That's not what the major donors want. And if you watch Trump, because people always say, why didn't Trump, pardon Julian Assange or Edward Snowden or Ross Ulbright, some people care about him, some people don't. Libertarians definitely like him. His situation's interesting with the Silk Road, but I won't get into it. Anyway, a lot of people are like, why didn't you pardon any of those people? And Trump, if you really follow who he is outside of like campaigning or WikiLeaks being beneficial to him because it made Hillary look bad and the Democrats, Trump hates whistleblowers. Trump hates spies. He's very classic Americana. Like anybody that talks shit on America, fuck them. Excuse my language. I couldn't think of something cooler to say, but that's kind of Trump's like style. Like he doesn't like Edward Snowden. He's said that multiple times. He wanted to during the San Bernardino shooting. He was fine with the government getting a backdoor into Apple. Apple was like, we can't do this because if we give you a backdoor into their phone, no one has privacy. And Trump was pushing for that as well. He's very classic. Like he doesn't like these type of people. But, when a donor gives the Republican Party $400 million, Trump will send a spy back on his donor's jet to the country that they spied for, of course, and then pass speech laws for that country. Like the people, I hate to talk about this all the time because people are like, oh, you're just so hateful or whatever. I'm really not. I like people. I don't blame an entire group of people for their government, etc. But like, do Republicans really not know what's going on? A major donor gave the Republican Party $400 million, and then Trump sent a foreign spy back to their country on a jet and then passed speech laws for that country saying you can't boycott or criticize that country, or you could be called anti-Semitic or lose, funding or whatever. It's like there's all sorts of laws that say you can't do that. Do people really not get what's going on in that department? So do I think he'll release the Epstein files? Absolutely not. Do I think he'll release all the JFK files? No way. Do I think he'll release the 9/11 files? Not a chance. But I'd love to be proven wrong. I'm not going to sit here and talk about it that much. That's my opinion. He's not going to do all the three because the donors don't pay him to release those files. They pay him to do other stuff. But it is what it is. I'm not going to sit and cry about it. It's just my opinion. Anyway, Anthony Fauci's been in the news recently because there's some sort of theater going on in politics where they're like, Fauci man bad. And everyone's like, Fauci man bad. And nothing's going to happen. But, I'm sure other channels are sharing clips of that. I've been ignoring them because I've seen it so many times. It's like, dang, Rand Paul really grilled Fauci. It's like, wow, Fauci said the social distancing, he just kind of made it up. Or, it's like, yeah. I mean, come on. Did you think that you thought that indoor outdoor igloos was like some legendary science that you needed a Rand Paul Senate hearing to figure out? Like they had us eating in igloos, indoor, outdoor, that were the same thing as the indoors, but it was outdoors, indoors, indoors, outdoors. It's like, dude, just open a freaking window. If you have a restaurant, like how is opening a window any different from an indoor, outdoor igloo? Like we needed 4 years to figure out that Fauci lied. And it's like, see, he lied. I understand when you lie under oath and when you lie in front of Congress, it's more important. So it's good to have documentation wise, like they'll save all these videos for historical reasons. And it's important. I'm not saying it's not important that they have Fauci there. Me personally, I don't know. I'm just kind of like over it. Not over Fauci, but just like he's like the fall guy and he's not even going to fall. It's like, it wasn't all of us. It was just Fauci. And it wasn't just Fauci, but also even if it was him, then it's like, so what's going to happen to him? It's like nothing. Here's Kary Mullis, the inventor of the PCR test. I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for this. I don't really care. But Kary Mullis invented the PCR test that they were shoving up everybody's nose to test you for COVID. And he died like a couple months, maybe like 9 or 10 months before the pandemic. He's a fascinating guy. I did a biography on him. It got deleted off of Facebook, and I believe it got censored on all social platforms. They really didn't want people to learn about Kary Mullis, even though I just said 7 interesting facts about Kary Mullis. I didn't say he was right or wrong. I'm just like, this is what he thought. He liked LSD. He did this. He did that. Like, I wasn't saying like, yeah, be like Kary Mullis. I'm just like, I'm doing a biography. It was a great video. Like, it's just 100% factual, no opinion of mine, and they deleted it. So in that spirit, here's what Kary Mullis said about Anthony Fauci decades ago.
What is it? What is it about humanity that wants to go to all the details and stuff and listen? These guys like Fauci get up there and start talking. He doesn't know anything really about anything, and I'd say that to his face. Nothing. The man thinks you can take a blood sample and stick it in an electron microscope, and if it's got a virus in there, you'll know it. He doesn't understand electron microscopy, and he doesn't understand medicine, and he should not be in a position like he's in. Most of those guys up there on the top are just total administrative people, and they don't know anything about what's going on the bottom. Those guys, have got an agenda, which is not what we would like them to have, being that we pay for them to take care of our health in some way. They've got a personal kind of agenda. They make up their own rules as they go. They change them when they want to, and they smugly, like Tony Fauci, does not mind going on television in front of the people that pay his salary and lie directly into the camera. You can't expect the sheep to really respect the best and the brightest. They don't know the difference, really. I mean, I like humans. Don't get me wrong, but basically, the vast majority of them do not possess the ability to judge who is and who isn't a really good scientist. I mean, that's a problem. That's a main problem, actually, with science, I'd say, in this century, because science is being judged by people. Funding is being done by people who don't understand it. Okay, who do we trust? Fauci? Fauci doesn't know enough to, if Fauci wants to get on television with somebody who knows a little bit about this stuff and debate him, he could easily do it, because he's been asked. I mean, I've had a lot of people, president of the University of South Carolina, ask Fauci if he'd come down there and debate me on the stage in front of the student body, because I wanted somebody who was from the other side to come down there and balance because I felt like, well, these guys can listen to me, but I need to have somebody else down here that's going to tell me the other side. But Fauci didn't want to do it.
So for those wondering, that's Kary Mullis. He's the inventor of the PCR test, which they use to shove up people's nose to tell you if you were tested positive for COVID-19. He won a Nobel Prize. He was a surfer. I think he was doing a lot of LSD when he invented it. I read not all of his book, but a decent amount of it. I should probably finish it. But he always said he never thought they'd give him a Nobel Prize because he was too wild and not controllable. So that the science community never really liked him. But the PCR test was an incredible invention because what it does, and he explained, it basically takes, I don't know if it's a cell or it zooms into your body. I don't know the exact, I would say, terminology for it, but it can exponentially zoom in. So that's why it's if you zoom in far enough, he used to say, there's a video that they deleted. He said, if you zoom in far enough in anybody, you start to be like a Buddhist, because he's they say everything's inside of you. And he's like, if you zoom in far enough with my PCR test, you could literally find everything, viruses, this and that. So he was very controversial during the Fauci AIDS epidemic. That's probably when he was doing that video. I'm not quite sure. But it's really fascinating stuff. To me, that was one of the most interesting angles of the pandemic. So naturally, they deleted all my videos on it. Which is crazy just to think about. It's I couldn't even do a Kary Mullis documentary. They'll shove his test up millions of people's noses, but they won't even let me show his side of the story. How crazy is that? And that was one of the things that I never did. I never took a PCR test, not one time. I didn't want them shoving something up my nose. I never took one because I read his book, or most of his book. I watched his interviews. I'm I don't want, what are you going to shove that up my nose 5 times a week, this and that, to get on here? If someone wanted to shove something up my nose, I'm not going. If somebody wanted to force mask me or vaccinate, it's I just skipped out on all that stuff as a personal protest where, I really personally wished more people did that because I think we would have had better results. But some people were yeah, I got it shoved up my nose. And Thomas Massey even told a story one time that they messed up somebody's nose or cell, whatever membrane. I'm not, scientifically literate on this stuff, but they broke a part of their nose by shoving it up too far. And then it was oh, well, the PCR test is an emergency COVID tool. So, we're not really liable. So just like with the vaccine, they used the PrEP Act to shield themselves from liability. And Thomas Massey claimed that they did that after screwing somebody up with the PCR test. All of it's really interesting. I don't know why I played that clip. I think because it's awesome. It's a historical clip. And, the Fauci stuff I could talk about all time, but my personal opinion on it is Fauci is complicit. He's a pathological liar. He's a bureaucrat. He's not the best scientist. He's just the best government scientist, which probably means he had to do a lot to get there and sell out a lot. He essentially, in my opinion, is just so in the bag of the pharmaceutical industry that, just like a lot of those people. But to say he was the only one, what about the HHS director that Trump hired? What about a lot of other people involved, the governors, even people playing along to it? And then you see people like Andrew Cuomo said, you never had to play along. It was all compliance. He's talking like like a mob boss reject kind of, you know, because like you pick like the Al Pacino or something to be the mob boss. He'd be like the guy who showed up for the, you know, the mob boss like acting role, but didn't get it. But that's kind of the vibe I get from Cuomo. But he's like, there's really nothing I could have done. It was all voluntary. And it's like, that's what we were telling people for years. And they're like, oh my gosh, delete your channel. So I could talk about the pandemic all day, but I'm not going to because I have a bunch of other stories. So here's one I found interesting. Now, after almost 4 years of leaving the border open and letting millions of people flood across our country and seeming completely oblivious or not caring about it, all of a sudden Biden is securing the border. What is it? 5 months before the election, 4 months before the election, 3 months before the election. I can't, 11, 6, 5, whatever. NBC News says Biden signs executive order dramatically tightening the border. He has faced political pressure as migrants have continued to arrive at the U.S.-Mexico border. So he signed some executive order and is securing the border now. Let me know in the comments, because I actually don't have like a really big opinion on this. Like, as far as like, obviously it's election time, but who's going to vote for Joe Biden? Like, if you really want the border secure, you're probably voting for Donald Trump. Like, why wouldn't you? Why would like, Trump's the border guy? That's like his branding. They branded him that way for 5 years. He's the border guy. Nobody's going to be like, oh yeah, Joe Biden secured the border for 4 months. Yeah, that really, like, is anyone really dumb enough to like have that sway their vote? So then my question to you is, why is Joe Biden doing that now, since it doesn't even seem politically convenient to him? What do you guys think? Like, the problem is I don't know what other people are thinking. Like, I clearly am not going to fall for that, but will other people? Let me see. Biden opens the borders and send billions. Yeah, let me see. Millions upon millions of illegals have come. Yes. To make the story go away. Someone said he's attempting to secure the border for the election. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to spend too much time on it. I just thought it was fascinating. It's like, dude, you keep it open for 4 years, 3.5 years, and now you close it. Like, what does that even do? Is it starting to affect Democrats too much? That could be a thing. This is what I'll say before I leave and move on to the next story. No, I'm not leaving, but anyway. When it came to the pandemic, people think the vaccine opened the states and like, we needed to warp speed it. That's all like left, right, Trump, anti-Trump. Like, people, they think it's like a Marvel movie and then they just make their decisions. They're like, it's good, it's bad. He did it because of this to save the world. It's like, none of that's true. And the truth is, Operation Warp Speed did not open up the country. They used the lockdowns as leverage and a marketing tactic to scare you into getting it. And they took away your stuff to scare you into getting it, or basically like threaten you or hold you for ransom into getting it if you needed money or access to something. But in general, the vaccine did not open California. The vaccine did not open New York City. It was all like Cuomo said, voluntary. They all just made their own rules. Like, I'm going to open now or in 3 weeks. Like, what's the difference between 3 weeks and now? Is COVID going to disappear? So they all were just bullshitting. And it was like a game of like, how dumb are people to follow along, and how willing are the governors to want to open, or was there any political and societal pressure to open? So they all played this game, and a lot of the blue states like New York and California were locked down and had crazy strict measures after the vaccine came out. The only thing that really opened California was the competition between Florida and Texas stealing. I think New York and California, according to some reports, lost upwards of $1 trillion in, I don't know, maybe business or taxes. I'm not really sure where that number came from, but it's like, if DeSantis is like, Florida's open, it's cheap, we don't have income tax, and we're crushing, and California's like, it sucks here, everybody wears a mask, and you can't go to a diner, people are going to start leaving, which they did to Texas and California, to Texas and Florida. And that's what made Gavin Newsom and all these other people open, is it was unsustainable. Eric Adams, he didn't give a shit about illegal immigration until he gets like a couple 10,000, 20,000. I don't know how many he got, a couple thousand, maybe more. And now all of a sudden he sounds like Donald Trump. He's like, oh, these dang illegals now. But he's like, we can't afford it. Yeah, no shit. What do you think? Yuma, Arizona, you don't think they're paying for it? You don't think all these border towns in Texas are paying for it? Yeah, it's not easy to have tens of thousands of people from anywhere. When people say, oh, well, that proves the Palestinians are bad because Egypt doesn't want to take them. You think Egypt can afford to take millions of Palestinians? Like, nobody wants to take millions of Palestinians. It's not because they hate Palestinians. And it's not, I mean, some people probably hate them, but it's not because that proves that they're bad. It's just unsustainable, especially for a country like Egypt, to be like, yeah, here, 500,000 people come in here. We'll give you housing. That's like millions, billions, and trillions of dollars that nobody smart wants to. It's like, yeah, well, we can help you if we can, but like, we got to help ourselves. Like, Egypt has a million problems of their own. America has all these problems of our own. It doesn't mean you hate someone else. It's just like, what is New York going to do with their refugees, no matter where they come from? So I think with the border, maybe enough Democrats have been putting pressure on Joe Biden. Yeah, probably for the election to look good, but I'm guessing that it's something to do with Democrats just getting absolutely bamboozled, which, although I have conflicting thoughts about this, on one hand, I don't like the fact that they can't just send people back or actually enforce the law. Like, I don't like this idea of like, let's send them all over the place. Like, it's kind of like just spreading the problem everywhere, which is like annoying. And I think it's like it's like a fake solution. It's like, let's just send them there. Part of me thinks it's a fake solution, and the other part of me thinks it's the smartest thing Republicans have ever done in the last 4 years, because that's the only thing that got Democrats to actually do stuff. So it's like, if sending them to New York screws up New York a little bit and Eric Adams has a pissy fit and then Biden, wants to close the border, then it worked. It's not the ideal solution, but it's better than nothing, I get, in my opinion. So I'm conflicted about it, but I do think that could be the reason that they're doing it. Speaking of a story I found that's just kind of unique and bizarre, and I would say kind of sad, I'll just put it up on the screen. New York Post said remote Amazon tribe connects to Elon Musk's Starlink internet, becomes hooked on porn and social media. I made the joke earlier, like, what did you think was going to happen? Did you think they were going to just like, be like, yeah, let me get my liberal arts degree. Let me watch some Mr. Beast. Let me use one of the dating apps to find my lovely lady on the other side of the tribe. It's like, no, they just went straight to jerking off and, social media. And now they're probably just like scrolling on TikTok and they're like, oh, TikTok, oh, porn. It's like, God knows, like, does everybody needs the internet? Everybody needs to be on social media. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they could benefit from some things online, but I've always thought it was cool that there are certain people that don't use the internet. Could they like have Uber Eats? Sure. Would they like it? Probably. They'd probably love it. But does it add a whole bucket list of problems that they never had? Absolutely. So it's kind of weird in real time to watch people that never had these problems all of a sudden have these problems. They're like, okay, Billy. Of course, his name's not Billy, but I'm not going to make up a different name and get canceled here. I could make some sounds and then get canceled for that, trying to be funny. But anyway, I don't care about getting canceled. I'm just trying to be funny about not saying something weird. But anyway, it's like, what do you think? What are you going to get from Uber Eats? And you just look at his phone and he's just like watching like crazy porn. And it's like, you're not supposed to do that with Starlink. And it's like, yeah, but that's what they're doing. I don't know. I don't know much about the Amazon tribe, so let's just leave it at that, because I don't know what they were doing before and I don't know what they're going to be doing now. But to be honest, I wasn't curious enough to read the rest of the article. Good luck, New York Post. You could look into that. This is where my journalism ends. Anyway, next story. I saw Jesse Kelly, who I'd love to come on the show one day because I like a lot of his takes on Twitter. I've invited him on. No answer. That's okay. But I'm very rarely am I inspired to like reach out to somebody and be like, oh, I got to get that guy on the show. But Jesse seems pretty funny. Here's the response he had to they're talking about sending Americans to go fight for Ukraine and NATO. And I think Jesse Kelly said what millions of patriots and conservatives are thinking, unfortunately, because conservatives and patriots historically have been the U.S. military. Not all, but, patriotic American men often are the ones that are fighting our wars. And if you make millions of Americans not trust the government, it's not going to be good for our military. Let me read. So the story was Daily Mail said revealed. NATO planned to get U.S. troops to the front line to fight Russia. Alliance prepares for rapid deployment of American soldiers amid fears Moscow is plotting major war in Europe. Jesse Kelly responded, my sons will not fight for the U.S. of gay, and I'm not alone in that thinking. Best be careful, politicians. The rural boys who fought your wars for you are all done with it. Putin can have all of Europe before I give my boys to Joe Biden's idiocy. So a few interesting things about that. I've always called the American foreign policy the liberal gay world order, because it's basically like they tell liberals and conservatives, like they'll tell liberals on the TV, they'll be like, yeah, Trump sucks and we need to make things gayer in America and they're so fascist and they don't want birth control. And then liberals are like, yeah, I'm getting left-wing content. And then you watch Fox News or some of these Republican podcasts that you guys all think are independent or whatever, and they're like, look at the libtards. Oh my gosh, get out of your tent and go back to liberal arts degree, you loser, you anti-Semite or whatever. So it's like both sides get fed, but then they almost get identical foreign policy. Sometimes it's flipped. Sometimes they'll tell you Ukraine's bad or something while the Republican Party does it. But for the most part, most of U.S. media is fake. It's giving you the illusion of choice, and then they all do the same thing. And even Trump hired Mike Pompeo, a former CIA director, who would call it a liberal world order. He said, go Google Mike Pompeo liberal world order. Why would a conservative guy under a conservative president want to spread liberalism to the rest of the world? They don't even like liberalism in America. Every pro-Trump page you follow says liberals suck, liberals are libtards, liberals suck, liberals suck. And then the foreign policy of the guy you guys are all worshiping is literally like, we're doing a liberal world order. What does that mean? Bringing, I don't know, Starlink to, Amazon tribes so they could jerk off to pornography, bringing homosexuality to Palestine and the Middle East, making Africa gayer. Ted Cruz on Twitter being like, gosh darn it, I can't believe they're cracking down on homosexuals in Uganda. Real talk. He's literally complaining about like homosexuality laws in Uganda. Like that's the big, it's like, dude, take your ugly ass to the border and close that shit up. I'm not gonna say who cares about Uganda, but who cares about Uganda? No disrespect to the people there. Seems like they're going super right wing and super Christian. I'm just saying, American citizens, I don't think Uganda wants you to care that much about it, because when America cares about you, then the politicians just go there and try to make everyone gay and liberal, and then they make you fight on television and tell you to watch like the Charlie Kirk podcast or whatever to get the right side. But it's all like he's like, Palestine, can you believe they don't have gay parades? Yeah, I definitely can believe that. Yeah. Was I not supposed to believe that? Because I do. What do you want to make it gayer or something for your donors? I mean, for your, yeah, no. That's not a thing. All right, never mind. That's hateful, even though it's accurate. But anyway, where were we? Oh yeah, this quote by Frank Zappa. I never really listened to his music. I know he's a legend, but this quote's awesome. Frank Zappa said, politics is the entertainment division of the military industrial complex, which, if he really said that, I'm guessing it's true, is a really awesome quote, because that's exactly what it is. I think that's like, perfectly said. He throws face on there with a quote. Crushing, Shout out to Frank Zappa. R.I.P. if he's dead. If he's alive, what's up, my guy? Let me see. Sorry, I'm trying to stall because I want to sip on my coffee. Actually, it's Americano. I was wrong. Someone said no one worships Trump. Yeah, not a single person. Like, can we just not lie to ourselves? It would be like me being like, not a single person likes Joe Biden. Most people don't like Joe Biden, but there's people out there that do like Joe Biden. They're not the smartest people in the world, but like, let's be honest. No one worships Trump. Millions of people worship Trump. No one likes Joe Biden. Unfortunately, millions of people like Joe Biden, but I bet there's a correlation between people who like Joe Biden and people who watch MSNBC, CNN, and in psychotic cable television, or God knows what left-wing podcasts are popular among that crowd. I got two more stories, and then I'll just kick it with you guys until right under an hour, and then I'm going to wrap it up. I saw this in Haaretz, and if you guys don't know what Haaretz is, I think it's the oldest Israeli publication from Israel. Maybe the Jerusalem Post is, but I know that Haaretz is like a Israeli newspaper in Israel. They wrote a headline that I'm not crying about this because I literally don't care anymore. Like, I think that like labels, nobody cares, like the left and the right stopped caring about this like years ago. So it doesn't bother me, but I'm just saying I've been called anti-Semitic for saying what they literally said. Like, I said that Zionist donors control the Republican Party because it's true. And Zionist donors, influence both parties, which is literally factually true, but that's like also anti-Semitic. It's weird when you say the truth and they say it's anti-Semitic. That's always weird to me. It's like, is the truth that, or what, or are you just lying? Or I don't know, it's pretty crazy. But anyway, let me read this headline. Cause if I ever said this, which I have in a different way, they would say it's the craziest, most anti-Semitic thing that has ever been said. But when they say it, it's just journalism, apparently. So let's look at it. Haaretz said, analysis, Trump is desperate for Miriam Adelson's cash. Her condition, West Bank annexation. The former president and convicted felon, they did him dirty with that, is holding a fire sale on future presidential authority. Miriam Adelson wants to be his biggest donor, but in return, she wants Israeli sovereignty over the West Bank. If you haven't seen my Zionist debate with conservative mama, go watch that and look at the part where I bring some of this stuff up. And she goes, are you saying a conspiracy theory that Jewish donors do stuff? And I'm like, not all. I'm not saying every person's a donor, and I'm not saying every donor does the same thing. But yeah, no, that's kind of what I'm saying. I'm saying that mega donors like Miriam Adelson give hundreds of millions of dollars to Donald Trump for Israel. I said it 4 years ago when it was unpopular, 5 years ago. I got pretty much blacklisted from the Republican media that you guys all watch and think so based and so on your side, like Benny Johnson. I'm not saying he blacklisted me. I'm just saying like those type of people, like they haven't messed with me since 2019. Doesn't matter because I've done my own thing and been successful, but it's because I noticed that. And then once you notice that, you don't get the money. If you notice that, you don't get the donor money. If you notice that, if you care about your country more than donor money, you're not allowed in that like Trump, like that you guys think are like fighting the left. Like it's all fake. So I just wanted to point out that Haaretz said what I said 5 years ago. And when they say it, apparently it's like, you know, what is when she gives $100 million to Trump, what does she want in return? Something for Israel. So it's not that hard to figure out what's going on. Speaking of which, I wanted to share this as an update from yesterday's stream. I told people that Elon Musk is making an Israeli foreign company check everybody's biometric data, which is like facial recognition. Also, it is your ID with your home address. And I did a whole stream yesterday explaining how, you know, Jake Shields was concerned because he's like, I don't know, I would say like he talks about, and I like Jake as a friend, like he's a great guy, but I'm just saying like he talks all day, every day about Israel and Palestine. So naturally the IDF Israelis, like they hate him a lot. Like he's one of the top 10 most outspoken people against the war. He thinks what Israel is doing is atrocious. So he's like, I don't want to give my home address like on an ID to an Israeli company. And then Elon responds and he says, why would we have your home address? And I showed people yesterday, not only is he playing dumb on the fact that his company's asking for it, but also when they want me to click this box, which I'm not going to click, it says, are you okay with X holding on to your home address until you're off this program? I'm not saying they can't have people's address. I'm just saying, and it's weird because it doesn't say an address or your business address. It says like your home address. So like, why would the CEO of X be like, we're not taking that? And then you have to click a box that says they can take it and hold it and keep it. While it says that Authentics or whatever the Israeli company, they're supposed to get rid of your data after 30 days. That's the agreement that you click on for that company, who, by the way, a lot of people think they're going to like completely avoid it. Probably not. If you've used PayPal and done something on Google or I think Airbnb, they're the, like, say you use Airbnb at a certain point, it's like, hey, give your ID and your facial scan. You don't think much of it. You know, that's going to an Israeli company, which it's up to you to care. Do you care if it's a Chinese company? Do you care if it's an Israeli company? Do you care if it's a European company out of France? Me personally, you know, I like all countries in their own way. I'm not like a country hater, but when I got fact checked on Facebook and then it was like a company in France, it kind of bothered me extra because it's like, why am I being censored in America by a company in France? It doesn't make any sense. Why is a French company deciding what I can and cannot say in America? So that kind of like, you get what I'm saying? Like, no matter how you feel, some people have really strong views. Only an American company should get our ID. Me, you know, I definitely think that because even when Trump sent the spy back to Israel for the Adelson jet or whatever, he went back on the Adelson jet. Why did that spy get in trouble? Because you can't just steal things from America, secrets, etc., military stuff, and give them to other countries. You can't do that. But now America, like you can pretty much do that. We have no sovereignty. So I think like 40 years ago, it's not that like you hate Canada or you hate another country, but you're like, yeah, America should probably handle all that stuff because even if we're aligned with people, alliances sometimes change. And also like, you know, countries have to have their own nation's best interests at heart. That includes Israel and America. So, you know, now it's like, why would, you know, that's, you're just giving all the data to that company in another country and just hoping they get rid of it. or you don't care because maybe we're the same country at this point. Like we're pretty much attached at the hip, and like all the like, oh, America first, like that's all like just like Republican conservative, like I wanted to say porn, not literally porn, but you know how people say fear porn? It's like conservative porn of like, yeah, we got Trump. And it's like, but really we're attached at the hip of that country, and they're making most of our decisions. And all our big donors are, basically paying off Trump and DeSantis and everybody to pass anti-Semitism hate speech laws. So while they do stuff for Israel's interests, they say it's anti-Semitic in America now to say that they're doing it. It's pretty crazy. But anyway, Elon said you have until July 1st in order to upload your ID. And I told people, I said, I don't usually tell people how much I'm making because I just think it's weird and it's private. But for Twitter, I don't care about Twitter. I only started recently making money on Twitter. It's like an addition to what I never even thought. I've used Twitter for 10 years, never got paid. Once Elon started going, I had a 14-day period where I made like 1,000. So if you do the math, I mean, that's like 2,000 a month, probably more. I was just getting more and more every month. That's like 20 to 30 grand minimum that I'll give up for not clicking that box. And I'm just saying that just as like I would like that money. Who doesn't need money in this economy? It's like, it kind of sucks now. Everybody's paying less. Everything costs more. The service everywhere is going down. I need that money just like everybody needs that money, but I'm not going to do it. Just like I'm not going to get a vaccine for money. Like let the chips fall where they may. I'm not doing something against my will, or else I'm just a slave at that point. If I'm doing it for something else, then what's the point? I mean, yeah, everyone has to do some things that they don't want to do, like work, etc. But I'm just not playing along. I'm tired of this stuff. Anyway, I thought I had till July 1st. That was the agreement. They said until July 1st, you can make money and then you got to upload your ID. So I just looked and now it says, I'll just show you. It says you can't check your ad revenue or subscription until like now, so now I don't know. I was hoping to make a few a few more paychecks real quick before I didn't make money for the rest of the year, but it seems like they dialed it back even more. Now most people are wondering like maybe they're going to jack our, payments for this next month if we don't upload this stuff. But I've already made my decision. I mean, I thought about it because I was like, whatever. On one hand, they probably already have my data. You know what I'm saying? I've used PayPal. I've used Airbnb. Well, no, I haven't used Airbnb, but like Google, I've used. I don't, there's a lot of apps now that you need your ID to enter it, et cetera. I gave Facebook a lot of my information, and that's just how it is now. I don't like it. I don't even like when you go to places and they ask for all this information because, back in the day, it's like you go to your doctor's office and it's like, hey, can we have all your information? And you're like, yeah, you're the doctor, whatever. I'll give you all my information. Now, nobody has anything secure. Even the most secure things aren't secure. So it's like, I don't want all my personal information at 50,000 different offices all the time. Like, it's just annoying. Everybody wants your shit. So I've come to terms with it. But to be honest, I try to give the least amount possible just because it's like credit card, or debit card. It's like if you use it, somebody could steal it. Somebody could look at the numbers. So it's like, I don't want it sitting in 50 million different places. Just like, it's like a numbers game. It's just like, I wouldn't leave it out on a table faced up so people could like see it. With that being said, part of me wanted to be like, yeah, I'll just do it because I want to make 20 to 30K on X. That's a lot of money. It's a good amount of money. It's not the most, but it's definitely not the least. So it's a good for just using Twitter. It's crazy good. I'm super grateful that was a thing. So I was kind of thinking about doing it. I was like, yeah, whatever. They probably already have my stuff, and they probably do. I probably used that same service before, but it's kind of just like a principle thing at this point where, why are you doing that? Like, why now? What now makes you want to do that? And why, I said this yesterday, but for me, I don't hate Ukraine. I don't hate Israel. I don't hate Palestine. And I don't hate Russia. However, we are basically at war with Russia. So if it was a Russian company trying to take my information, it's not, I actually don't hate Russians at all. I think they're pretty cool. And I don't even think this war is a just war. But I wouldn't want them to have my shit because our government's waging war on them. So, the less stuff of mine they have, the better. So I wouldn't sign up if it were Russian. I wouldn't sign up if it were a Ukrainian country because, I don't trust Zelensky. I like Ukrainian people, but I don't trust the government. I don't trust the war. I don't trust America's involvement in it. And to be quite honest, at times of war, especially if you're losing a war, you get a little desperate. And I've seen Ukraine make like a kill list or a flag list of like American journalists that they hate because they talk about that stuff. So it's like I wouldn't want to give it to Ukraine. And when it comes to Israel and Palestine, same thing. I'm not really trying to give it to a company from either country because they're at war. And it's like America's funding Israel to the tune of tens and hundreds of billions of dollars. So, Palestine rightfully probably hates America right now. And then on the Israeli side, they're at war and tensions are high and emotions are high. And, certain things they're doing are, in my view, completely immoral and crazy. And, I don't cover it every day all the time, but I don't agree with either war, and I don't like America's involvement in it. So, and that alone is enough to make Ukraine or Israel mad at you. So, it's out of principle. I just don't want this to be like a thing. It seems a little just odd that I've been using Twitter and making money for a while, and there was no you need my biometric data. I mean, I get does every app do that? I don't remember other apps asking for that. I've used Instagram for a while. They never said upload your biometric data. Like they probably have your biometric data if you upload selfies. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Someone said no one in the UA or USC wanted to resolve dialogue for Minsk for Merkel. Sorry, I missed that one. Someone said Elon lets porn on X now. Isn't there enough platforms on porn? I heard that he's allowing more hardcore porn, but to be honest, I thought X always allowed porn. Like there's always been porn on X for a long time. It's been like you can't really post porn on YouTube. You can't post porn on Facebook. You couldn't post porn on Instagram, but there's a lot of porn spam bots. I didn't even realize I left my tag open. And some chick I was talking to was like, what are all these tags? And it was all these porn tags because I didn't realize I had to turn it off, but I left anyone could tag me on Instagram. I just don't even look at that tab. So I don't use it that much. So I was like, what the hell? Instagram got a little weird. So Instagram, it's like they don't allow porn, but they do because they're just have shitty servers or whatever. They don't know how to manage it. Twitter, I feel like it's been open season for porn for a long time. So I don't know how they possibly made it worse because it already was legal, but he's just open the floodgates bigger. I don't really know. But yeah. Anyway, someone said 1984 is a great book for sure. Someone said I could always do OnlyFans. It could probably do well with OnlyFans, but yeah, probably not. Definitely not. Unless, some fighters use OnlyFans and they do it to, just they don't get nude. They just show stuff. But how much did the OnlyFans guy this? It's it almost sounds hateful if you don't realize that it's just completely true. But the OnlyFans, let me see, CEO donated to AIPAC, which is the American Israeli Political Action Committee or whatever. Let me see, OnlyFans. He donated a ridiculous amount. Donates. So, the OnlyFans owner pledged $11 million to the Israeli lobby. So all this pornography that all these amateur chicks and professional chicks are doing on OnlyFans, the CEO is sucking up the money. And then he gave 11 million of that money to the Israel lobby, right? To some, it's hate speech. To others, it's just literally what's happening all the time, everywhere. And it's impossible not to notice unless your IQ is 5. So, it's you could like it, you could dislike it, you could be for it, whatever. But it's to act like it's not happening is ridiculous at this point. But I know why people do it because they're so engulfed in the left versus right that they think they really have a chance or whatever. And then also there's a lot of religious, reasons that people have. They got, in my view, tricked into reading one verse and being I can't think now. I read a verse, so nothing else matters. And it's it's not really what that verse says, but whatever. Someone said he probably owns a lot of stock in Kleenex too. Who are you? I mean, it would be funny, but I don't know who you're talking about. Anyway. Oh, I get I got you now, you dirty dog. Hey, stop that. Disgusting. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, I thought you're talking about someone crying. Now I get it. Hey, get out of here. Don't leave, please. Please, I need your money. No, I'm just kidding. Let me see. Porn is only here to destroy a relationship. Yeah, I don't think it's good. And I think it got brought to America under free speech. It's not speech. Porn is not speech, in my opinion. Speech is hey, Frank, speech would be speaking about porn or something. That's free speech. But visual porn, how's that speech? I don't get it. Anyway, Anomaly, who do I think ends up being vice president for Trump? Somebody that the donors want for sure. I've been saying for years, Elise Stefanik. I think she's a choice that the establishment of the Republican Party likes. So I've said her years ago. She's still in the running, I think. Maybe Tim Scott, maybe Marco Rubio, maybe Doug Burgum, who Bill Gates gave $100,000 to in North Dakota. I'm not sure. That's my if I could like dial it down, I would think Elise Stefanik, Tim Scott, or Doug Burgum. And I don't trust either of them. They're all like Mike Pence. You know, Elise is like just as bad as Mike Pence. She just like coattail rides Trump. So some people think she's cool because she'll be like Trump, MAGA, 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 but she just says MAGA, 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 Trump, 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 because she knows Trump might pick her. She's just as bad as Mike Pence. So is Tim Scott, in my opinion. So is Doug Burgum. They all have their pros and cons, I guess, but I don't trust either of them. That's my guess. Who knows? Someone said maybe they will pressure Trump to drop out of the race. I don't think so. I think some people know that he's the right choice for the Republicans at this point. And if you look at, I saw Cernovich tweet it the other day. Like, you know, he's always like tweeting both sides of a lot of arguments, but he says some interesting stuff, and I appreciate the, you know, unique takes a lot. He was saying that Trump's actually getting more establishment donor money than Biden, and all the bigwigs, they're dumping their money into Trump. But I already talked about this months ago too. A lot of the, not all of them, but a lot of the big donors, they're funneling money into Trump. Like Trump is not anti-establishment donors. All the donors are giving, not all of them, but they play both sides. But Trump's getting a lot of the big money because a lot of the big money likes Israel. That's why when Miriam, according to Haaretz, gives Trump $100 million, she wants him to do things for Israel. That's the transaction. So it's like, who's going to do more for Israel? At this moment, most people think Trump's going to do more for Israel. So he's not really like, some people don't like him. He's going through some court stuff, but there's a lot of powerful people behind Trump. It's not like he's got his back against the wall and no one's with him. He's got a lot of big dogs on his side, which is why I think he'll probably win the election, but we'll see. Will Hunter Biden be convicted? Almost definitely not. Almost definitely not. And the real thing is like, listen, as Hunter Biden, I'm not saying what he did was right, but who's he working for? You know what I'm saying? Like Hunter Biden is the son of a politician. Does that mean he's innocent? No, but I'm just saying, like, isn't it more on Joe Biden? Like if you got your son doing like things for you, shouldn't you take accountability too? So I don't think anything's going to happen to Hunter Biden. It's just like the story that everyone knows, but they never really act on. And even if they did, like he's not working alone. It's not like he's just running around doing stuff. He was like a useful tool. I'm sure, he was I'm not going to say a small player because he's a politician's son, but it's like he was the guy that they're like sending out to go do stuff, for some things. Like, I don't think he has that much influence and power. I think he's connected to people who have it, and they just saw him as a, useful guy to do it for them. But I don't know. I know as much as everyone else knows. I don't look at the laptop pictures and stuff. Someone said Sarah Huckabee Sanders rolled back child labor laws in Arkansas while her constituents on the other side of the aisle are legalizing prostitution. Remember the slippery slope? I didn't hear about that, but I don't like Sarah Huckabee Sanders. I make fun of her constantly because she was telling the South to get the Trump vaccine. I have a different scope than a lot of people. Like, I don't judge a politician by how much they like or dislike Trump. If they're annoying and they dislike Trump, I don't like them. But like, say, I like Thomas Massey. It has nothing to do with what he thinks about Trump. I just like what he does. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, she got famous by just being Trump's little parakeet. Her job was to just say whatever Trump said. And I'm not being rude. I'll do that later. I'm not being rude. It's just like, that's her job. Her job is not to think for herself. Her job was to parrot Donald Trump. That's how she got famous. So, that's her and Kayleigh McEnany's job. Once Kayleigh McEnany stopped being Trump's parrot, she did a better job, I think, than Sarah. She went to whatever news station. She has her own views. Some of them I agree with. Some of them I don't. But she's like her own person. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, she never changed. She's just like, I'll get into politics and do the same thing I did as press secretary. So, she doesn't really have like great thoughts. She passed the IHRA speech laws. She told people to get the Trump vaccine instead of telling people that compliance was going to only further the issues as far as, it lasting longer. she sucks. But because she's like, howdy, y'all, Trump, I love Trump. People are like, yeah, she's a patriot. And that's the problem with politics. I think Elise Stefanik plays that game. Lindsey Graham is playing that game, but Lindsey Graham has such a bad track record that nobody falls for it. Lindsey Graham is like, I love Trump. I love Donald Trump. And you're like, you mean like politically or sexually? Because I hope it's politically, but it is June. And you know what they say? Nothing. They don't say anything. It's just another month. It's summer. Anyway, people see right through Lindsey Graham, but I think there's others that they don't. Speaking of, I'll say this before I leave. It's been a great live stream. I appreciate you guys. During Pride Month, I have conflicting thoughts about it, not about like what I think about it, but I mean, I'll just start with this. Like, there's not a month to like glorify God. There's not a month to be grateful for water. Like, there used to be native tribes and like Hawaiians and stuff. Like, they're like, oh, the sun and the water, like, we're so grateful. Like, that's pretty cool. Even if it's not your religion or your culture, like, they love the sun, they love water, they love the land, they worship the land. We're worshiping like sodomy and homosexuality. It's kind of gay. It's not kind of gay. It's really gay. Like, what about water? Whether you're transsexual, gay, straight, like, you need water to live. Everyone needs water. Every liberal needs water. Every Republican needs water. It's a uniting issue. Let's have a month for water. Water's awesome. Isn't it great that we could shower and drink clean water? It's like, we don't have a month for water. We don't have a month for God. We don't have a month for the land. We have a month for Black history and homosexuality. It's just like, okay. So I think we could probably pick some better topics if we were going to only go with like 2 or 3 months, but whatever. So there's that. And then also I feel like the right, and I felt this way for a while, but you really see it with Pride Month. Like, I went somewhere the other day where they had their own thing, and it was like they weren't countering Pride Month. They were just doing their own thing. It was incredible. It was like, oh, they're not even going to mention Pride Month because they're just pushing their culture. And you look at conservative politics and conservative media, they're not like, what if everybody just, I'm not saying ignore it when they push it on kids or whatever, but what if you just were like, didn't even play along? And you're like, this is my month. I saw on Twitter, Owen Benjamin, he was like, I'm proud of my farm. Let's push what we're proud of, which was like, similar to what I'm saying. It's just like, yeah, like, what are you gonna like? But everybody wants content, so they're like, oh, look, the gays and like that's what the right is. They don't have their own identity or culture a lot of times. All they do is react to the right. What if you said, let's just make our own month and make it for something that's not even that controversial and like important, like water or food or land or God? I know, of course, people are going to complain, but that's the problem. The left changes the culture. The right just reacts. And then 10 years later, the right goes, we can't change it. It's too late. They're going to hate us. They already hate you. But also, they don't just hate you because you're conservative. Some people hate you because you're Republican and you're conservative because you're pro-Trump and they suck. But a lot of people also hate Republicans because they're really annoying and cringe. And I'm not going to say I hate, but I don't like a lot of Republicans. I think even people that are like pro-Trump, like a lot of them are cringe and all they do is like yell and they're, just annoying. And they're always countering and just being like bullies, but not even doing anything. If you're going to bully in the right direction and actually win. Like, if you're just reacting to Pride Month for 30 days, not creating your own month, not creating your own culture, not, making like, it's just like, it's kind of cringe to me. So I wish that conservatives did that, but I'll tell you, in media, everybody needs something to talk about. There's different strategies. Like Alex Jones, I know he's going through stuff now, so I'm not speaking on now. But a lot of times it's like every day is a huge thing, because if it's not a huge thing, people don't want to pay attention. Sometimes like when it's Pride Month, it's a cash cow. It's like, go to the gay parade and yell at the tranny or whatever. And it becomes like, if they don't do that, they can't get hits and clicks. And for me, I notice what gets me more views. Like when Daily Wire was beefing with Candace Owens, I was getting more views. But luckily for me, it wasn't the drama of like, ooh, what did Candace and Charlie say about each other and Ben Shapiro? It was the culture. That's what I was like, wow, Candace is one of the biggest people. Daily Wire is one of the biggest media companies. And, this is bringing to light a topic that people didn't even realize was happening in the community for 3 years. So I didn't do that because it was dramatic and clicks, but I got way more clicks doing that. So the thing is, if I only cared about clicks, I would constantly find drama and constantly find something. So that's what people do with liberal culture. They're not necessarily making great stuff or doing stuff. A lot of these people, it's just like, I want to get 5 million views again this month. I want to get all the likes in the comments. And if I just post normal stuff, nobody cares. So it's like, just like the left is addicted to their pride, flags, the right is addicted to reacting to it and fighting with it for clicks and views. And it's like sometimes the way they go about it is annoying. You know what I'm saying? It's just annoying to me, where it's like, I don't mind if you protect a kid in a school. I don't mind if you say you're not, like, you know, celebrating Pride Month, or you say some edgy stuff that would be perceived as rude to other people, but I think is funny. But like, is your intention right? Is your energy right? Sometimes people, they just like love to like make a scene, and I'm just like, what you're saying is not necessarily wrong, but I'm like, I don't even think you really care about it. I think it's just another thing for you to do, and then it just, like, you know, gets you a lot of attention and stuff. And I'm like way past that point. Someone said farm month, fish month. Dude, exactly. Great. I'm going to stay a little later, I guess, because I passed an hour, but farm month is a great idea. Fish month. What if Donald Trump said that? He's like, listen, and here's the way that you could do it to like not be overly controversial if you're afraid of that. You could be like, listen, if you guys want to do gay stuff in San Francisco and it's legal, it's America. You could do your gay parade in San Francisco, and you could do it, you know, don't push it on like 10-year-olds. It's a little weird, but like, if you want to do it, I'm not stopping you. But it's farm month, it's fish month, and I'm not giving a bunch of federal aid to your thing. I want to do it for farmers, because we all eat, and even gay people need food, and even trans people need food and water. And, you know, we want to celebrate something that's everybody agrees with: food, water, you know, and the land. You know, like, they could do that. I mean, that's like the less controversial way. The more controversial way would be like, we're canceling that one and we're doing this one, which I wouldn't give a shit about, obviously, but like some people might take the wrong way. Someone's going to take everything the wrong way, but it's like the right will just, I think like Ronna Romney McDaniel was like, happy Pride Month. And it's like, I don't hate gays. I'm Ronna Romney McDaniel. It's like, but they hate you though, you know, like just because you're Republican. But also it's like, it's just a ridiculous thing to celebrate homosexuality for an entire month. It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous concept. Like, it's just stupid. You know, there's not a lot of things that I think that you should celebrate for a whole month. We don't even celebrate America for a month. We give it like 4th of July, and like, you know, we say a day for the veterans, this and that. You know, like homosexuality and sodomy gets a whole month. It's a little ridiculous, no? You know, like outside of like your opinion about someone or this or that or what they do, it's like a whole month. Even with Black History Month, like, it's nice to have a month to remember a certain ethnic group in America. Cool. Are you going to do what about the ethnicity that's like a majority in America? Like, do they get a month? Oh no, that's racist. What about Asians? They do some cool stuff. Do Indians get a month? Like, what, you know, if it's going to be the United States of America, like, can everyone get a month? And then it becomes like that Dr. Seuss book. I forget which ones it is. Someone could probably figure it out in the comment section, because Dr. Seuss is famous. But there was someone said low T month. It's low testosterone month. Everybody drinks soy. No, but there's a Dr. Seuss book where a bunch of these, whatever they were called, they got stars on their bellies, and all the ones without the star in their belly was like, I want a star. And then everyone got a star, and then they removed the star, and they're like, actually, now it's cool to like not have the star. And then they're like, oh yeah, we'll take our star off too. And then they're like, actually, it's cool to have the star again. So it was basically like a group wanted to do something, and what made it cool was that no one was doing it. And as soon as everybody started doing it, they took the star off, and they just kept switching back and forth. That's like with the month. It's like, if you're going to do a gay month, can you do a straight month? Yeah, the star belly sneeches. You got it. Exactly. It's like, is there going to be a straight month? Oh, you're just being hateful. Okay, then there's only sodomy gets a month, but not men impregnating women to keep the population going. Like, that doesn't get a month. Black history gets a month. Okay, but Indians and Asians and white people, and you're like, no, that doesn't. So it's like a star belly sneeches situation, where it's like, they'll do it for one, but then everybody's like, we want a month, or like, we don't. It's just like, it would make more sense to just not do it than to do it for everybody. Because then once everyone's doing it, it's just like, can't we just do like summer, autumn, winter, spring? That's a pretty cool concept. Oh, it's summer. You know what happens in summer? No matter what your sexuality or your race is, the sun comes out. And most human beings like that. Most human beings like the sun. So why do humans like the sun, no matter what their politics are, what their race or their sexuality is? Because the beaches are more fun to go to. People can go to a pool. You know what I'm saying? Naturally, sunlight feels good on the human body. Wow, that's a pretty cool thing. We should call it summer. Hey, June, summer. That's pretty, you know, it's not that divide, but they do all these things purposely, divide and conquer, you know, give something that's controversial, give something that's divisive, act like it's not, act like it's moral. and then just say everybody's being hateful. Federico El Padrino, mi amigo, keep teaching, he said. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. Yeah, I don't know. Remember when Trump was going to build a wall? I remember. Now he's going to do all these things, but it's National Something Day as well. Is it? Yeah, but like, is it though? And here's the thing. I don't know what the right thing to do is, but when say it's like, what's the Juneteenth day or something? It's like, okay, what is that day? I didn't grow up on it. I don't know much about it. Some people say that they did and they always knew about it or whatever. Other people, they just go along with it because it goes. And then every Juneteenth or whatever, like, you know, the liberals will pretend like they always cared about it. And certain people will be like, yeah, this means a lot. It's like, okay. And then like right wingers will be like, Juneteenth sucks. It's a fake holiday for black people. And it's like, some people do that are black, you know? I'm not saying you can't. I don't care. It's free speech. You know, if you want to piss people off, you could do it. You want to stand your ground, do it. Teach their own. It's just like, I'm always just trying to figure out what the solution is, where it's like, you say you want to celebrate it. You get pissed off at it. I don't celebrate it. I don't even know exactly what it is. And I feel like it wasn't always around. So it feels kind of like political and sneaky to me, you know, just instinctually. It's like, I don't remember that from high school. So if you do, that's cool. But same with like the Black national anthem. What's a Black national anthem? Is there a Black nation? You know, is there a white national anthem? Is there an Indian national anthem? The national anthem is for everyone in America. If it's not, then we don't have a nation, which is what we don't have. It has nothing to do with hating black people or not wanting them to sing a song. I don't care. Sing 1,000 songs. So, you know, Usher did the halftime show. He sung a lot of songs too, but it's like, you know, there never was that at the event. And the reason I'm not a huge fan of it is not because I hate or I care what you like. It's just like, it's the United States of America, and the national anthem is for everyone. And if you don't like it, you don't have to like it. You don't have to be respectful. I was raised to be respectful about it, but you don't have to. But to get your own national anthem, it's a psyop even for black people, in my opinion, because it's like they'll give you a national anthem to make you feel good, but they're not even giving you a nation. A national anthem's for a nation. And if you live in America and you're separate from everyone else, like, what does that mean? You know, because you're not like, you know, separate in everything else. So they're giving you a separate national anthem, but they're not even giving you a separate nation. It's like, you know, it's just like ridiculous, but I don't know. I'm also not inspired to like post about it and piss everybody off, because the people that get pissed off by it, they only care about it for 2 days. I think it happened to me one time about, I was asking about demographics in Vermont and why the crime was so low, even though it's Democrat. I posted it. I forget what I posted, but I asked a question and it went crazy viral, and on Twitter got millions of views. And I didn't mean for it to be viral. And I woke up and I had like a bunch of random people that were black just like pissed off at me. Most people didn't give a shit, like, you know, but like some people did. And it's like, somehow I just became like the cultural topic of the day or whatever. And then it's just like, you know, someone calls you racist and says like, your eyes look funny. Like they were like, your eyes are close together. I was like, yeah, I've seen myself. I know. But not that close, but I get what he was saying. But anyway, it's like, then it goes away in 4 days and no one cares about me, because then they're going to get mad at the next person. So it's like, what's the point of being that person? You know, it's like, it's not fun. I mean, maybe if you get paid off it or whatever, but to me, like, I don't like that sort of stuff. I'd rather just make a point that people like than be like the guy that everyone's randomly mad at for a day, but they're not really mad at because it's like just a post. You know, so I'm not going to stop saying what I think, but that's just what I think when it comes to like Pride and Juneteenth and all this stuff. It's like the left pushes it in, the right just reacts, but are they reacting to fix it, or are they reacting for content? You know, that's what I think. Cause I'm always like, how do you change? And I do think that the Pride month, I'm trying to think, like burnout, is that people are kind of tired of it by now because it's just like overdone. And like the MLB did something gay and then everyone's like, that's gay. And then they took it away. They literally didn't say gay, but anyway, you get what I'm saying? Like Pride month. And then everyone's like, dude, we're tired of it. And then like the MLB like deleted it. So that just shows you like everyone just being so gay for a month. It's just like, you know, like most people are kind of tired of it. And this is my opinion. I don't know, like, you know, who's like the head of the LGBTQ plus community, because they say the LGBTQ plus community. Before I talk about it, let's see in the comments, who's the head of it? You know, like I want to speak to the manager. Who is the manager? Give me funny answers in the comments, and then I'll actually say what I was going to say. Because it's like when you talk to, like, who are you talking to? Because they don't all agree with each other. Some of them are like, stop grooming the kids. And the other's like, oh my gosh, I love Hillary Clinton. It's like, I don't know who I'm even talking to when I say that. Joe, I'm not going to read that, but that's funny. Someone said Obama's the manager. Someone said Israel. Someone said dude loves DeSantis and Jeb Bush. Literally, no. It's like, if you're going to talk shit, at least be funny. No one loves Jeb Bush. It's like Sesame Street. The Bud Light dude, Dave Chappelle. All right. Anyway, how is Dave Chappelle the head of the LGBTQ plus community? Anyway, I'm not reading that. Well, anyway, if I were to speak to like the head of the LGBTQ plus community, which I don't know if the people doing it are even trying to help people, they're probably just trying to like divide the country. I would say this: being gay and LGBTQ plus, I feel like it's one of those things that is more tolerable when you don't throw it in people's faces all the time. You know, it's like, this is probably not a good analogy, but it's like if your boy's like, you know, drinking, you're like, oh, he gets drunk, he turns up, he gets a little wild, but it's like whatever. He does it like a couple times a year. But then if he did it every day for a month, you're like, all right, that dude's an alcoholic. Like, you know, he's annoying as shit. So I feel like even for the LGBTQ plus XYZ Justin Trudeau, you know, symbol : money sign LGBT plus, it's like, when you guys, like, I don't know if it was the 90s or 2000s, but like people didn't really care. I mean, people probably were like, oh, that's gay or whatever, but nobody like really cared. And you could pretty much do whatever, kind of like on the low, you know, or go to San Francisco and do it not on the low, or West Hollywood would be like, no, we're super gay. We're out there. Sure. Queen was gay, but they made fire music. Nobody cared. Once you like do so much, people just start to get annoyed, you know, like it's not only is it not good for the country or the people that don't like it, but it's not even good for whatever you're trying to do, because now everybody's just annoyed by it. Like if you go to like a town and there's a gay flag somewhere, like 15 years ago, some people might be like, I don't like that. Just like, you know, people do that for everything. You put up a political slogan, people don't always like it, but no one really cared that much. But it's like if every company just pretends to be a sodomite for a month, they're like, look how gay I am, you know, Audi gay, you know, like, you know, MLB gay, NHL gay, we're all gay, rainbow, rainbow, rainbow. It's just like annoying, you know, it would be annoying for almost any topic, but it is definitely like extra annoying. But like, you know, any topic pushed that hard by everyone just pretending for like a month is just going to annoy people. So I don't think it's good for like whoever the head of the community is. Like, it's just not. It's just, it doesn't, I don't get what they're trying to accomplish besides like societal collapse. But, you know, like, is that making people like love it more? I don't think so. I don't know. But I don't think the people really running the show, I don't think they're really trying to like help people, in my opinion. Just like with like Black History Month, all right, whatever, you know, that's been around for a while. But like, what's the Black National Anthem? I don't think that's the elites being like, let's really help Black people with a national anthem. It's like, let's not actually do anything for you. Let's not give you anything. Let's not improve your life. Let's not fix your neighborhood. Let's not tell you the truth. Let's not, you know, put you in a position to succeed. Let's not be honest about the problems that we're having in the country. Let's just give you a song that everyone could fight over at like the Super Bowl. You know, like that's what it is. It's not like we really if they really helped, you know, like say I needed help or my community or race needed help. I don't want a song, you know, we can make our own songs. You know what I'm saying? Like there's enough black, white, every race that's making songs right now. Every race has like good singers and rappers. You know what I'm saying? At this point, you could find a Spanish singer, a black singer, a white singer, obviously. So I don't need a song like I don't need a new song or a song that like now you're going to perform on TV. I don't know. That's not like really helping anybody that much, in my opinion. But someone said Biden is bisexual. I don't know if that's true, and I'm not trying to like libel the guy, but I don't know. That's pretty funny. Just like it used, like the capitalizations used were funny too. Someone said this dud thinks he's being tough on Trump, but he's apologizing for him half the time. You talking about me? I don't apologize for him like at all. See, that's the thing. It's like you say anything and people will be like, oh, you know, there's probably, I wouldn't say millions, maybe tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. I don't know how many people know what I'm doing, but like there's at least tens of thousands of people who think I criticize Trump too much and I hate Trump. And then it's like someone else will be like, oh, you let him off the hook half the time. What if I like, what are you talking about? Do the voice, whose voice, the Trump voice or the Biden voice? Biden's son loves cookers. You're trying to say hookers? Greg Abbott's idea of border control is photo ops with Humvees. For sure. I mean, I don't know the law or the rules, but yeah, I'm not a real big fan of that guy. You're out of the club, bro. Take heat. I don't know what you're saying. You have to be able to call people out when they lie or do wrong. For sure. I like to say this too, because I understand that like everyone wants to like talk about other people. And I understand that I do that for a living. Basically, I do news analysis, but my angle has never been, I'm not gossiping. I'm not hating. I'm not jealous. I'm not emotional about, I'm just trying to do news analysis. The news is public. The politicians run the country. They're getting paid off by donors. They lock down the country for the pharmaceutical industry or perhaps something else. And I'm just analyzing public information. I'm not like a hater. I'm not like, I like to talk about people. Like, I'm not trying to just talk about people. I'm not trying to like gossip or I'm just trying to do my part to make the news better energy. So even today, I said, I personally do not believe that Donald Trump is going to do anything with the Epstein files, the JFK files, and the 9/11 files. Maybe he will. I don't believe it. I don't believe it because I don't think the donors want him to do it. I don't think he did it last time completely. And I don't think he's going to do it this time. And even the tone of his voice sounded like he was lying. Do I care that much? Am I talking about it for an hour? No, I moved right on and I was like, that's what I think. But I said he did declassify some JFK files, not necessarily about JFK himself, but about CIA false flags, which is not bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not a 10 out of 10, but at least he did declassify something. But yeah, I don't think he's going to do all this other stuff. So that's the type of analysis I try to do. Doesn't always accomplish. I try to be fair. I try to be reasonable. I try to be as nice and respectful as I possibly can. That's what I'm doing. I'm not just out here trying to like talk about people. I don't consider myself a critic. You criticize Trump. I'm just telling the truth. He took $1 million from Pfizer and then he hired a pharmaceutical guy for HHS. He took hundreds of millions of dollars from the Adelson family and then he did things that they wanted him to do. And they want him to do things again for a foreign country. And it's in Haaretz, which is an Israeli publication. Am I hating? No. Am I criticizing? I'm not a critic. It's not a critique. It's just, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not crying about it. You might like it. I don't think it's America first, but I don't want to be known. At this point, it's whatever, but I don't want to be known as like a critic or like I'm talking about people. Yeah, I'm talking about stuff, but I'm not like, I'm trying to be honest. Someone said, sorry, my face is a little itchy. Anomaly, you helped me not be a MAGA cultist. Well, hopefully it worked out. Someone said warp speed shit hit the fan. Yeah, but here's what I want to say about all that too. 95% of Republicans, their analysis, that's like if you go to my platforms, it says Anomaly, news analysis. When I tell people what I do, I don't care what you call what I do, but that's what I call it. And someone said, oh, I like that because that's what I think I'm doing. News analysis. That's the most accurate terminology. Most people are analyzing Operation Warp Speed wrong. Most people are analyzing Trump's involvement wrong or why he's doing it wrong. So if you don't get to the truth of why it's happening, you can't ever really change the stuff that's going on. So I'm not analyzing it accurately to be a dick. It's just like most people will never tell their audience that he took money from the pharmaceutical industry and then changed his tune on what he actually thought and talking to RFK and then went with the pharmaceutical lobbyists. Most people won't tell you that the vaccines didn't end the lockdown and it wasn't some magical plan from Trump to save the world from a 5-year lockdown. It didn't even stop the lockdown. They used the lockdown as leverage. And the real patriots and the real freedom fighters, you don't lock someone down and say you only get your freedom back for a vaccine because then you're not free. If you're being held for ransom over a pharmaceutical product, that's not freedom. That's not liberty. And that's not some massive plan. The rushing was with the liability shields. The rushing was to make a cash cow. Rushing it helped the pharmaceutical industry and big pharma. If Trump didn't rush it or the establishment didn't rush it, they couldn't have made all that money. People would have figured it out within a year or two. And the vaccine didn't open the year from a 5-year lockdown. It was Florida and Texas putting some pressure with big economies on California and New York, and they lost over $1 trillion, and then they had to open up. That's what opened up California. I know because I lived there during that stuff. And I know what was going on. The vaccine didn't change anything. It was a head fake. I actually specifically remember, I remember I was at a pool party. And one of the neighbors that I talked to was like, "Oh, I got vaccinated. I could take my mask off now." And I turned to another neighbor and we started laughing. And we were like, "We didn't get the vaccine. And like, we're not wearing a mask." And then like a week later, the Gavin Newsom said even vaccinated people have to wear masks because they lied to you. They told people if you get the vaccine, you're not going to catch COVID. And then you don't need to wear a mask because you're not going to catch COVID. Within 2 months of the data, people with, the vaccine were getting COVID or testing positive for COVID. So then they said, put your mask back on because it doesn't make sense to not wear a mask if you got a vaccine, if you could still get it or whatever. So it's like, that everything was a head fake. Everything was a lie. Everything was and the way they get away with it is because they convince people to hero worship one politician and think it's only the party when they're both working together, and the same bankers and donors and et cetera are the ones running the show, and I've known this since I was like 19 years old. Before I even understood politics, I just figured out if you control banking, you control money. It just is what it is, and if you control money, then you could buy stuff. It's like, oh, the farm, buy it. You could, not everyone's for sale. That's why they hate people that aren't for sale. If they could buy most politicians, they could buy most news influencers, they could buy most Democrats, they could buy most Republicans, but they can't buy everyone. So anyone that's not purchasable is annoying to people that want to just buy everything. But it's not rocket science. It's like if, the analogy I always use, like you could hit the biggest jackpot at the casino and you're like, I'm the biggest winner in the casino. You're not. The owner of the casino is the biggest winner of the casino. They're making more money than, and most people in it are losing money. So, and then once you have the money that everyone else is spending, you could buy other stuff with it. Yeah, it's not that easy to do business. You could make a misstep, lose all your money. Plenty of people have done it before. But I knew this since I was like 19 years old. It's like, yeah, the bankers are probably a level above whatever I'm seeing. A politician, Obama, George Bush. Like I wasn't like, oh, it's George. No, George Bush's puppet. A puppet of who? His administration. Okay. And then who are they a puppet of? Maybe they have these moral beliefs, or maybe they're getting paid, so that's what I think. And why I analyze stuff, because how is it going to change if people don't even notice? And I'll say this too. Culture is so important, and a lot of conservative culture is getting better in some ways, but it's also kind of like regressing in the last couple of years. Like I feel like it's getting cringe, but it's like if you care about the food supply, the government has to do something about it because everyone cares. If you can convince people, the left, you hate Donald Trump, the right, you love Donald Trump, then no one cares about the food. Trump's not going to fix the food. Biden's not going to fix the food. RFK's not going to win the election and get in the chance to fix the food unless Trump or somebody hires him. So that's not getting fixed. So people will be like, well, no, but I like Trump. It doesn't matter. It matters where you put your energy. It's like with the COVID stuff. So many people said, I have to do this. I have to do that. I didn't get a vaccine and I didn't get a thing shoved up my nose. I told myself I'm never doing it. I'm not. And if 10%, 5% of the population said I'm never getting a test, or 10% of the population, it all has to go away because it won't work. And Cuomo even said that recently. So what I'm trying to say is like, where you put your energy as a man, as a woman, as a person, whether you do content or just live your life, like your life will be decided by you. Yeah, there's going to be other factors, but what can you control? And then what can you do about it? And then, what can you make for yourself? So it's like when everybody's obsessed with hating Donald Trump and everybody's obsessed with loving Donald Trump, and the majority of the energy in America is hating or loving Donald Trump, and there's 99 topics he'll never talk about. He's not doing. He's in on the pharmaceutical industry. He did nothing about the food supply. He printed more money than Obama, like in every tangible thing. And he did a better job than Biden with the border, but it didn't even last. And the border's not finished. And now people are just flocking across and Biden sucks. So it's like none of that's ever going to change. Maybe the border will because enough people care about it. But there's so many topics that people just actually live their own life and paid attention instead of just following like the tail of the politician like a sheeple. Then they would have to fix it. And some things have naturally already happened. I said on Twitter the other day that I think some of the biggest cultural impactors, they don't even talk about politics. There's a huge bro movement that spans into a lot of things. I would say there's trad women that do it. There's gym bros. There's people like Carnivore Aurelius, who's always talking about like, the sun and milk and stuff. And these people, it's a lot of different genres, but if I brought it all together, it's like people who want to see the truth about the Food and the Drug Administration, and people that realize that a lot of these products are not what people think they are, and they're talking about a lot of natural stuff. That's more important, in my opinion, than anything these politicians are doing. Like that movement, they don't talk about Trump, they don't talk about Biden, they don't talk about Lindsey Graham, and they're shifting the culture because they're convincing millions of people, oh, I didn't even know that this was in my food. I didn't realize that seed oils were in everything. Like, if you want to not eat seed oils, you almost can't eat anywhere. There's an app. Hopefully I could do a deal with them, but I found an app where they do that with the seed oils, and I messaged them right away because I was like, I never have any sponsors, and I was like, if I could get a sponsorship with you guys, it's called Seed Oil Scout. They haven't done anything with me now. I'll just do it because I like it. But I hit them up because I was like, guys, I could sell this a lot. I feel like, because it's so awesome. You could see the seed oil in your area, and it's like astronomical how much there is. They put it in everything all the time, and it's like, when I cook for myself, I don't even buy seed oil. I buy olive oil, and I have butter. I personally use grass-fed butter that's unpasteurized because it's legal. You could buy it at stores in California. That's just personally my choice. I'm not telling other people to do it, but I use unpasteurized raw butter, and I like olive oil. With that being said, yeah, it's like, I don't cook with seed oils, but anytime I eat out anywhere, it's in all my food all the time. And it's like, why are they putting it in everything? I don't, it's like, I cook all the time and I never have to use it, and I don't use it. Like, why are they using it? And I don't know. I just like those guys where I'm like, those guys are changing culture more than anyone in politics by getting enough people to realize that. And once enough people realize that, then the food industry and the politicians have to kind of shift around it. So I like that stuff. Someone said avocado oil. Some people are saying there. Raw butter tastes good. I've had raw milk and stuff too. It's legal in California. Some places it's not legal. Like, it's illegal, which is crazy. Yeah, corn syrup, all that stuff. You can find like ketchup. Like, ketchup is supposed to be just tomatoes and stuff. When they have high fructose corn syrup, I don't use it. It's just like, it doesn't even taste better. It tastes better when it's not in there. It's just cheaper. It's cheaper, easier. And a lot of these preservatives, it's like, how long could it last on a shelf? I don't know, but it's not supposed to. It's convenient. I don't think all of this was done nefariously also. Some of it was done nefariously, I believe, but I think a lot of it is just convenience. Like, it's easier to heat that up. It's easier to make it quickly. It's easier to have it last 3 months, and everybody likes easy, including me. I don't like hard stuff. I'd rather not cook if I didn't have to be honest. But yeah. Someone said, exactly, anomaly. I even render my own lard. That's awesome. I love those type of movements. And I'm like, that to me is doing more than politics, because politics to me is like the left. Their culture is like so inverted and like upside down that they're just getting screwed. I wish left wingers realized how manipulated they were getting on all fronts. I mean, they're right about some stuff, but not much. On the right, not all, but a lot of Republican culture, most of it, is Donald Trump idol worship. Even if people are like, even if you don't worship him and you just like him and want to vote for him, you're consumed with this like story that's going on. Oh, he got arrested, I got to give him my money. Sure, yeah, I get it. But like, is there ever going to be a time where you notice all this other stuff going on? Because it's like the COVID thing. Like, I always use that as an example because it's the perfect like experiment run on humanity where you could see who does what and what they could get away with. And I never in a million years never thought that they would admit that nobody had to listen, because they would pretty much like censor you on social media. If you're like, you don't have to listen, they would be like, it's against the law. What law? And then people who went through with it, like most people, some people got charged, but most people didn't. And when it came to people who could sue their work and the nurses, I have a friend, Mike Yoder, who does law. He's been on the show a few times. He told me that all the court cases he helped people win were people who didn't take the vaccine. If you didn't take the vaccine and you got fired from work, you could win. But if you took the vaccine because you got pressured, you can't sue, even if something goes wrong. So it's like the people that really took the W's on all these things were the people who didn't listen. Some people lost a lot. I don't think everybody won everything, but now that they told us that, like, your compliance is why we did this. Your compliance. Where did the 6 feet from social distancing go? Like that that's such a frustrating time. It was also like in a weird way a fun time because I got to just like kick it for a few months and not do that much, and I was doing a lot of videos. Anyway, It's like, I couldn't believe anyone was doing this stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's like, stand on the sticker and stand on the sticker and wear a mask. I'm like, are we slaves? Are we like cattle? You know what I'm saying? Like, how, I just couldn't believe everyone was playing along with it. It's the same thing with all of these other topics where, you know, if everyone plays their part a little bit, all the culture shifts. So as many good things as Trump shifted the culture for, I feel like his story is almost like stopping people from thinking about anything or like, you know, advancing the culture in the right direction. And I've felt this way since 2021. I'll give Trump 2020 because it was a weird year, but 2021, like after the election, it was like, oh, go to the Capitol, oh, get set up, oh, Mike Lindell, Donald Trump, he's getting arrested. It's been nonstop Trump theater. And then you listen to a Trump interview and you're like, oh, is he crushing it? And is he like this truther that we all need to really get behind because they're coming after him because he's so awesome? And you're listening to it and he's like, I did the vaccine, I rushed it, it was me, not Fauci, not the FDA, it was me. I'm the father of the vaccine, or they call me that, and I get it because I rushed it really fast. The FDA is really mad at me for rushing it so fast. And you know, if I was president, there never would have been a mandate, because you wouldn't need a mandate because everybody would have been lining up. I had 1 million vaccines a day. We were rocking that vaccine. And I'm like, oh, this guy sucks. Like, not only is he not speaking for the people, he's speaking on behalf of the pharmaceutical industry. His voice, his megaphone is now just shilling and saying nothing. So it's like, it's been 5 years of chasing this guy in circles. You know, it's like, that's stopping the culture. To me, no matter who Trump is, it's controlled opposition just because it's controlling like 100 million people. And now you don't have an identity or a culture that is your identity. Like you can't get, I mean, Stagecoach is like the only thing, but it's music. But outside of a Trump rally, you can't get conservatives to rally for anything. They wouldn't even rally against masks, but they went and got set up at the Fed trap at the Capitol for the vaccine salesman. You know, it's like there's nothing else that can get conservatives to do anything. It's only Donald Trump. And what does he do with your attention? Lures you to the Capitol where he tells you that Mike Pence is going to do something that he's never going to do, that he really can't even do, and nobody's even honest about it now. To the cyber symposium that Mike Lindell is going to do this because he's 100% sure, aka he's wrong. You know, it's like that's dominant. The court cases, the Wildwood rally. It's like that's the only thing that conservatives could do. Imagine if they took that energy and did something like for themselves or for an actual thing. I don't know. It's like there's a place for the rallies. I'm not against them. It's just like, is there anything else that conservatives can come together on? And if you're going to come together around one person, like, and they're saying that like all this stuff that like the vaccine's awesome and there would have been no mandate if he was in office because everyone would have got it. To me, that doesn't inspire me to like run circles around that guy. Like I would run circles around a guy who's like, there's seed oil. If Trump was like, there's seed oils in all of our food. We need more workout facilities, more saunas, more steam rooms. We need to make the kids strong again. We need to completely seal the border. We're going to stop printing all the money. We're going to do what we can to fix the economy. We're going to like, I'd be like, all right, that guy cares about me. But a vaccine salesman is never going to get me to run circles around them, because that just on an instinctual human level, that shows me that Trump doesn't give a shit about anybody. Like Trump, in my opinion, thinks his supporters are literally cattle. And they just don't realize it. Where as a man, I respect a leader that's better than me. I respect a leader that's awesome and a strong leader. And I'm a loyal guy. I'll do something for a leader that's worth it. Not a guy that doesn't talk about seed oils. Not a guy that literally is in on the pharmaceutical corruption, takes money from Pfizer, sells the vaccine, shills for Moderna. Like, that's not a guy that I want someone to say there's seed oils in all of our food. All of our food is disgusting. The Make America Great Again and make our food supply as good as some of the food supply around the world. There's a lot of places where if you look at how Europe, even if they're quote unquote socialist or whatever people want to say, or left wing, if you look at what they feed their people, they feed their people real food. Like they don't hate you to the point where they're feeding you like crazy stuff. Like it's not normal. The pharmaceutical ads on television in America, it's not normal. It's rare. It's unique. You're not going to see it like anywhere except for New Zealand, and you probably don't see as much in New Zealand. So I'm inspired to run circles around a leader that's hitting all the topics that I care about. But most Republicans, this is my interpretation, they don't care about themselves or their family or their culture or anything. Just desperate. They're like desperate, like, I hope he'll do it, or I think he'll do it because I can't do it and I don't even know what to think, so I'll think what he thinks and I'll do what he does, and it's not the best, but it's the best we can get, and that's why it happens. So I want him to win overall. I think it'll be more interesting if he does. But what I'm trying to say is like the pharma and the food and all this stuff, it's never going to change until people care about it. But how are you going to care about it if there's a guy sucking away hundreds of millions of people that doesn't care about it? That's why I like some of these content creators and culture shifters. They don't talk about Trump. They don't talk about Biden. They don't talk about policy. They're strictly talking about topics. And a lot of people are starting to rally behind it. So I think that's a good thing. Who to vote for? Who's the guy? In my opinion, RFK has zero chance. He seems like he's completely compromised on the number one topic that actually matters and controls all politics. So what's the point of voting for an outsider that's not even an outsider? At least Trump is a fake outsider, but he can actually win the election. Bobby Kennedy is now a fake outsider who can't even win the election. It's like he's going to get way less votes than Ross Perot got. He's not running a real campaign. Like it's disappointing because I like Bobby Kennedy, but it's like, what are you doing? You run as an outsider, you cave on the number one topic that's probably central to almost everything, and then you are going to do what? Take votes away from Trump or Biden in an election you can't win? So in my opinion, Bobby Kennedy is the fake outsider that has no chance. Trump is the fake outsider that has a chance. So in my opinion, it makes more sense to vote for Trump than anyone else. Like if you're uninspired, don't vote. If you don't want to vote, if you want to vote, to me, it makes more sense to vote for Trump than RFK because RFK is going to get like 10 to 15% of the vote if he's lucky. He might get less than 10%. So, to me, it's like I'm either not going to show up on election day and vote, or I'll vote all Republican and for Trump. But I'm leaning towards not doing that right now. But in my state, doesn't matter for Trump because he's not going to win. But I just strategically, I think that Trump makes more sense. And someone's talking about the liberalness. The one thing that I do think actually matters the most that is like tangibly going to change, because the foreign policy, like maybe Trump helps. Maybe Trump fixes it. It's a possibility. I'm not ruling it out, but that's a maybe. The thing that's definitely going to change is federal judges. Trump, as bad as his Supreme Court justices are, they're more conservative than the liberals. They're not good. They're fake conservatives, in my opinion. Like Trump picked worse judges than the Bush family, in my opinion. Bush's picked Alito. Bush's picked Thomas. Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito are the best. Bush's picked him. Trump picks shittier judges than Bush's, and people are obsessed with this guy. It's ridiculous. But anyway, still, I'll take Amy Coney Barrett over whatever Jackson that Biden picked. So it's like that's really what you're voting for. And Kennedy, he would pick liberal judges. I know he would. So he would let the Democrat establishment or whoever pick his judges. So, to me, that's like the only thing that actually, if Kennedy, in my opinion, if Kennedy really cared, if he really wanted to fix what he says he wants to fix, tell Trump, I'll drop out right now. Make me the HHS director. Make me the head of the FDA. Give me a major position in the Food and Drug Administration where I could fix the pharmaceutical industry, where I could fix the food supply. That's what RFK is the best at. Monsanto, pharmaceuticals. He's good at the Ukraine war also, but Trump knows enough. Like Trump is fine as foreign policy. It's not like RFK is blowing my mind in a way that like Trump never could. They're both the same on Israel, just like everyone in politics in America. But it's just like, if RFK really gave a shit, get a position. Like RFK could fix the pharmaceutical industry more if he was the head of the HHS. As president, he'd be too busy anyway. Maybe he could hire good people, but he could be the good person that Trump hires. You get what I'm saying? It's like, why? Let me give you an example. If I said, hey guys, I'm going to run against Donald Trump and I'm going to fix the food supply in Big Pharma and I'm going to fix the war in Ukraine and we got to give Israel all the weapons because of Ukraine and everything else I'm going to fix. But I just have the same opinion as Nancy Pelosi and Mike Pompeo, mysteriously. But in general, it's like, I would be lying to you if I said I was going to beat Donald Trump in the election. I'm not. And guess what? Neither is RFK. He knows he's going to lose by a lot. I know he's going to lose. Everyone knows he's going to lose except for the people that are dumb enough to think he has a chance. And I'm not saying you can't dislike but like, what's he doing? I want to, sure, I would love to be the head of and save America's food supply. But if I can't do it, I'm not going to sit here and lie and like role play and take pictures and post Instagram posts for a year. I'm not a fake guy. It's like, no, I can't win this election. Let me figure out when it makes sense to run, if it makes sense to run, because I'm not going to win. I'm going to get 10% of the vote max. RFK is not doing that. So it's like he's going to say all these things and he's going to do nothing he's saying he's going to do because he's not going to win. And if he won, he'd probably pick a bunch of liberal judges, and that's not what I want. I want conservative judges personally. So to me, Trump strategically makes more sense, and all the things RFK would do better than Trump, he has no chance of doing because he's not going to win. So why not say, I'll bring my 10 or 15% to Trump? You have to promise me that you're going to make me the HHS director. And if you're not, I'm going to be annoying your whole campaign and make sure that everyone knows that you lied. And, I'll start a movement calling you out. To me, I would love that. I would love if Bobby Kennedy did that, because he would be better at HHS than a pharmaceutical lobbyist, of course. And he seems like a nice guy. So I don't know. Politics is so fake to me. But that's why I think it's all theater. It's like, here's Joe Biden, who's 81 years old, who's an idiot, and everybody knows it, but we got to pretend like he's the president or whatever. Here's Donald Trump, who's also 80, who was cool, and then he sold vaccines and lied to his people, but they still are obsessed over him because the border's open and they're desperate and the country sucks and they know he'd do a better job, maybe. But he's taking money from donors again, but whatever. And he's totally going to do what they say, but will act mysteriously surprised when he hires a bad vice president. And then it's like, okay, well, those aren't really good choices, and they both were in on the big pharma scheme. Here comes Bobby Kennedy. Oh, that guy's different, but he has the same mysterious foreign policy on Israel that every politician in America has, or else they get kicked out of American politics. And it's like, okay, so he's good on the pharmaceutical stuff. Well, is he running as a Democrat? Well, he was going to run as a Democrat. That's why he said he was going to run. I'm going to run as a Democrat. I'm going to beat Joe Biden, get the nominee. Then I could win the election. Makes sense. You probably won't beat Joe Biden, but you can raise awareness. And then when you lose, just keep it moving and running 4 years. Oh, no, now he's running as an independent. I never knew that at the beginning. He didn't say that, that he said he was going to run as a Democrat. He just used their platform, but didn't even get on their platform and then ran independent. For what? I don't, it's like when Vivek ran. If you like Vivek, sure. If you're glad that he's on podcast, cool. If you're glad that he went from a billionaire that nobody cared about that sold pharmaceutical products and did hedge funds to a guy who said he cried on January 6th and, it was so bad or whatever on Fox News. And now he's ultra MAGA, even though he wrote a book calling Trump essentially the same as Stacey Abrams and a sore loser. If you want to believe he's the best candidate, sure. If you're that foolish and you believe everything you see when someone sells you something, but it's like he's not going to get over 10% of the vote. He's running to elevate his status. He's running to get attention. He's running to make a name for himself. Sure. But, there's people out there that literally thought he was going to win. It's like, it's just funny to me. I like RFK. He's not going to win. Yeah, I'm too honest. I'm not going to run for office and just lie to you guys. If I'm going to run, I'm going to study it and strategically figure out if it makes sense or not. And if it doesn't, I'm not going to role play. That's what you do when you just want attention. When no one cares about you, you don't think it's cool to be at Trump rallies. You don't think it's cool to be on Fox News every day. You don't think it's cool to have women and throwing themselves at you and guys like, you're my hero. I bet there's people who've got a Vivek tattoo. Why? Because he ran for president, lost, got 10% of the vote, and then used that to leverage his career, because even with $1 billion, he couldn't buy popularity until he became a Republican and ran as a Republican candidate. It's just it's so obvious to me, but I feel like when I talk about it, people are always like, oh, you're just so hateful. It's like, I see it for what it is. If I really wanted more attention and more stuff, then I would do the same thing. I would raise millions of dollars, make myself rich off it, take a bunch of donor money, run around, let people throw themselves at me. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And then I'd lose and get 15% of the vote and cash out and make a fortune and leverage that into a book deal and leverage that into, it's not a bad idea, but you got to put up with a lot of shit. Who wants to put up with that shit? Probably people that are narcissistic or people that are, just that don't care, which it's honorable not to care if you're coming for the right reason. But is this my bowling shirt? No, this is my US Open shirt, because I'm not trying to name drop or brag, but let's just say your boy was at the US Open, you know what I'm saying? Torrey Pines, I'm just saying. It's my golf shirt. I don't want to get into specifics, but your boy's really out here. Anyway, someone said tennis. It's a good tennis shirt, but it's a golf shirt. But it would be a good tennis. It does look like a tennis shirt. I agree. I like tennis. I play tennis. I watch tennis. Someone said, say sorry to Tin Pool is live. Got to go. when people troll me, why do they always spell things wrong? Like you called him Tin Pool. Tin, like the Tin Man, you Tin Pool. Bobby, apologize to Tin Pool for calling him Tin Pool. That's just disrespectful. He's not made of tin. He's made of 50% polyester, 50% organic goat beanie, and 100% sneakiness. Don't disrespect. He's not made of tin. It's polyester and goat beanie. Stop being so rude. You're disgusting. Someone said when you could hear his graduation speech, you could tell he's a good speaker. Old Vivek. Yeah, like to me, I don't know. Like you could listen to someone on a podcast and you could be like, oh, that guy's authentic. You know, that guy. I'm trying to think of like a good example of like who's super authentic. I mean, I haven't listened to a lot of podcasts, but I listen to some fighting podcasts and stuff, and I'm like, oh, that guy, like he just speaks from his heart. Like the flow of it, the tone of it, the cadence of it. You're like, he's just out there. That's who he is. You know, love him, hate him, that's who he is. And then there's like, you know what I'm saying? I'll give you an example. If you guys watch UFC at all, Joe Rogan and DC Cormier are two announcers, and then there's John Anik. Say what you want about Joe or DC Cormier, they're just winging it. They're just like broing out, just talking shit. Like they're not fake. But and then there's John Anik, and I don't dislike him because he's necessary, but he's like the robot. But they need him to be the robot because Joe Rogan's probably high. Daniel Cormier doesn't give a shit. They're not going to read the sponsors, and the UFC is going to lose a lot of money if they don't have a robot to be there to read all the stuff, So John Anik, to me, he's like the least authentic, but he's necessary because he's the responsible one that actually does it. You listen to him on a podcast, he still sounds like a robot. I'm not saying he's not authentic, but it's just like, there's certain tone and cadence and the way people talk where it just sounds fake to me. That's how Vivek has always been to me. Like he's not saying wrong things, but like it never came across as authentic. And then when you see other videos of him, it's like he's whoever he needs to be. I've seen him on a news network say democracy. I've seen him on another news network saying it's a republic. I saw the video where he said he cried on January 6th. That video is so revealing. When I saw what was happening on January 6th, I cried. I cried for what's happening for our country. First of all, I think he's lying. So if you're going to lie about crying, what else are you lying about? And if you didn't lie about crying, you're a grown man who cried because you're sad for America because of January 6th. That's embarrassing and shows emotion and weakness, and it's just lame. Like even if you thought it was the most horrific thing, like you're crying because of it. I didn't cry when Joe Biden won because I'm not a pussy. This is like like cry for a real event, not January 6th or a Biden victory. So it's like either he's lying about crying, which means he's an actor. I would have loved to ask that question again and been like, did you really cry or did you lie about that? And he'd probably say, I didn't lie. I really cried. You cried? Why'd you cry? It's like it's crazy. I think that the politics is so fake that people have a low standard because there's no standards in politics. So you get anyone that gives you anything and people are ready to like throw their whole life savings at these people. Someone said, I agree with you. Actions speak louder than words. Much respect for you. Thank you. Yeah, it's just like, I've made mistakes, but I'm not out here lying. Like if I cried, I cried. If I didn't, I did it. And if I said something, you'd probably believe me because I'd say it like I mean it. You know what I'm saying? If I was just like, I cried on January 6th, and now I'm totally this guy. I'm totally ultra mega. Oh my gosh, Donald Trump. Oh, Donald Trump's. Oh my gosh, he's getting prosecuted. This republic cannot take anymore. We are MAGA. It's like, all right, bro. We get it. You took a public speaking class at your Ivy League college. That's what it like. There's some people that like really have the sauce, and then there's other people that are just like they learned how to have public speaking skill. You know what I'm saying? Like, here's my papers, here's my pencil. I know the tone, I know the cadence. I speak just like a man with courage and confidence. It's like, cool, we get it. You took a public speaking class. Congratulations, that's awesome. It's whatever. Someone said you're out of the club. I don't know what club, but whatever. Someone said Ron DeSantis always comes off as genuine to me. I feel like he's kind of politician-y and fake sometimes, but I did think that when he talked about pandemic stuff, he came across as really authentic. That's why I started like saying he was doing good things in some of my videos, because like him talking about Fauci and some of the COVID stuff, he did sound good. And when I saw him live, I'm not going to lie, he did a good job. At Turning Point in 2021, He sounded authentic. But then other times I listen to DeSantis and I feel like he sounds like a robot. So I think that's people's problem with DeSantis is he was a little too stiff during his campaign, and people actually I think he would have lost anyway. But sometimes I like what DeSantis says. Other times he sounds like a politician to me. When he talks about foreign policy and stuff and just reads the script, I'm like, snooze. But someone said Timothy Poole owns you. Did he buy me off the black market again? No, I'm just kidding. Like, you could watch Tim Pool. I don't care. He owns a beanie, but I don't know if he owns me. Send F if you're not Mormon and you're based. What type of thing? This is how you know you're staying too long. People start talking shit. Someone's like, send an F if you're not Mormon and you're based. You're not like send Q if you're, not Hindu and you're based. It's like, okay, that's an odd structure of what you're demanding for that. Anomaly, real talk. What's your gut feeling on Alex Jones and what's happening over there? I'll just say this. I think they are probably doing something to Alex. Like, I don't think he would just do this over nothing, but I was going to include the clip. I forgot to. There's a video of Alex Jones crying and it looks so fake to me. Like he's just and he's just like and like it literally looks like a bad acting job. I'm not saying they're not really doing stuff. I'm not even saying he didn't really cry live on camera, live on the show to make everybody feel bad for him. It's possible. I personally just don't believe it. I like Harrison Smith. I like Owen Schroyer. He's got a lot of cool people that work there. If they say that something's going on, then it's going on. I'm not saying that it's not. I'm not saying that he's not stressed out. But I personally, to me, that crying video looked faker than a Vivek speech to me. Like that looked like if a Democrat did that same thing, I would be like, yeah, they're lying. Because it wasn't like a natural breakdown in tears. You see somebody at a sporting event, they just start crying. They win the French Open, they start crying. Something really devastating. But over a court case, you're just gonna start bawling, crying on your own show, like really aggressively. To me, it looked fake. But I think what they're doing to him is real. It's always been I think Alex is a good businessman and he knows how to make money and he knows how to fundraise. And just like Trump, he probably needs to now for court cases. But this is what turned me off to Alex Jones years ago. Because I've heard of Alex Jones since I was in high school, college. I like Alex Jones. I consider him, influential, very important person. And, I have nothing but love for the guy. With that being said, I listened when I was in college a little bit and I just turned it off immediately because he was just selling every 5 minutes. And it was always every day it'll be like World War III, Nancy Pelosi's going to blow us up. Oh my gosh. But anyway, here's my fish oil. And I like his products. I bought some of his products. Alex has good products. I'm not against his products. I'm not against him making money. I'm not against him selling every 10 minutes. It's a smart business model. It's actually genius. And he's crushed it because he's so good at business. But to me, I get you have to make a headline. I understand as a content creator, there's certain headlines and there's certain stories that I'm going to do that are going to get 10 to 40,000 views on YouTube and who knows how many on Facebook or, get 1 million views on Instagram. And then I know that there's some that are not. But what I do is I kind of just go with the flow where it's sometimes I'm going to get a lot of views. Then I'm going to not get that many views. Then I'm going to get a lot of views. But the consistency will be the same. But there's just days where I know I'm going to get 40, 50, 60K on a YouTube video. And then other days I'm not. I'm okay with it. I mean, I could do more to make more money, but I don't feel right doing it. So I'm yeah, I probably should do more and I should think of something. But I'm whatever. I know those days will come again and it is what it is. With Alex, every day is the most important day ever. The biggest thing, this and that, this is going to happen. We're going to get blown up by Russia and this and that. And he knows how to make every day. And then he gets on the show and he goes, oh my gosh, I'm going to do this. They might hit us with a nuke. Iran, it's getting really bad over there. Sorry, pray for your soul. Say hi to your children. Anybody could do this. And then it's okay. Then it's 5 minutes of ads. And then he comes back and, there's information on there. But I personally, I don't like that. Fear mongering, hype it up. Every day is this huge thing. My whole purpose of doing this was the opposite. I'm I want to make people more calm, more rational. if you're freaking out about Iran, you've been freaking out about Iran for 20 years. There's videos of Netanyahu 20, 30 years ago saying we have to go after Iran. I remember going on a cruise before the lockdown in 2020, and the television was like, we're starting a war with Iran when Donald Trump was in office. And they're like, oh my gosh, they got the ships over here. And I remember being on a cruise like, damn it, I'm trying to enjoy myself. Like, are we going to fight Iran now? And then literally Israel's and Palestine are fighting and Iran's fighting Israel. And it's like, well, they're actually fighting now. So it's like, I just don't want to freak people out about it all the time, because it's like, if you want to join the military or something and fight them yourself, then join the military. But if you're not, calm down. There's nothing you can really do about it. And if you're really scared, leave the country. I don't know what to tell you. Go move to the mountains. Do something. That's my whole thing. With COVID, I didn't freak out. I knew they were going to lock down because I was just researching and reading, and I saw the trends around the world. So I flew to somewhere that I would be more comfortable staying than Los Angeles, and I got there 3 days ahead of time. I didn't freak out. I just said, someone said Bill Cooper didn't like Alex Jones. Yeah, I know about all that. I've spoken about it. It's interesting. I've watched videos on it. But anyway, he said the same thing. Bill Cooper just said he was fear-mongering about events, and he scared Texas about some huge event that never happened and freaked everybody out on the radio. That's why Bill Cooper didn't like him. There's a video if you want to look into it. I don't dislike Alex Jones. It's just like he's constantly hyping everybody up. And then he acts like America's run by the Chi-Coms. Like, he hates to talk about like Israel's influence in American politics, just like RFK. That's the thing. It's like Trump won't talk about it because he does it. RFK won't talk about it because he does it. Biden won't talk about it because he does it. And then Alex Jones is this truther that mysteriously just says that like Chi-Coms are taking over America. Listen, China is doing a lot. China buys up farmland. China is crushing. No question. China's not doing nothing. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes to American politics, why does George Soros, Vivek Ramaswamy, Donald Trump, and Nancy Pelosi all have the same foreign policy on China? Vivek talks about what a threat China is. Trump talks about what a threat China is. Biden talks about what a threat China is. Nancy Pelosi talks about what a threat China is. And George Soros says that China is the number one threat to open societies. Why do they all agree on foreign policy? Because China doesn't run the American government. China doesn't control American politics. Another country does. I'm just being honest. So it's like with Alex, he'll never say that. He'll always just be like, it's the Chi-Coms. And it's like, yeah, buying up a lot of stuff and real estate for sure. Chinese people are crushing. And to be honest, they are buying up a lot of America. But when it comes to the deep state and the establishment that Alex has spent his whole life talking about, he mysteriously just never. It's just like to me, he's like a circus clown at this point. I used to respect him and like him, and I don't dislike him now. I just think he's like a clown, in my opinion. I see him as like a clown. He's like he's yelling, he's selling, he's crying. It's like it's just a little much for me, in my opinion. Someone said Tucker too. I like Tucker's energy better, and I think he's funny, and I think he does more stuff that's interesting. But Alex has had some interesting debates. Alex has some balls for sure. He's debated Brother Nathaniel. He's debated Nick Fuentes. He's brought Kanye West on the show when all that stuff went down. He's done a lot of stuff. I mean, Alex is like a veteran in whatever you call it. I'm not saying he doesn't do anything ballsy. Like, he does do a lot of ballsy shit. Even like the whole reason he's getting sued, like, he definitely takes risks, no doubt. But just me as like a consumer, I don't watch Alex Jones anymore. I don't listen to him. I can't take him seriously. I don't believe him. It's not that he's saying nothing true. It just feels like I'm more like a guy where I'm like, give me the truth. You know what I'm saying? Lay it on me to the point I'm like, that guy's real. That guy's honest. This feels good listening to. I believe it. And then if you're like yelling, it's like, it just feels like, all right, it's a little much. But yeah, I agree with a lot of it. Someone said chicken McNugget consumer. Good one. Oh, Bobby, man. Good one. Chicken nugget consumer. Oh. Hey, come on, bros. Hey, gotta keep the comedy down. What we got? We got Richard Pryor over here. Relax, dude. Save some comedy for the rest of us. But go apologize to Tim Pool. You called him Tin. You called him a Tin Man. That's racist or something. It was actually a good joke. I'm not gonna lie. It's like I'll give it a 7.5. It's not the worst I've heard. It's not the best, but it's definitely not. It's 7.5, maybe an 8. But I don't really eat chicken nuggets. But I'll give it a above average for sure. Someone said the Chinese have police. Hold on. I missed where was it? I wanted to read that. It seemed interesting. I want to keep this under 2 hours. Where did it go? The Chinese have police stations in the US, and the guy said China isn't a threat. Oh, please. You know that our police chiefs and our police directors meet with Israelis and like train their police in Israel. I didn't say China has nothing. I'm just saying American politicians are not being run by China. Israel has way more influence. Why do you think Vivek, Soros, Nancy Pelosi, Donald Trump all have the same China's the number one threat? Do you think if China ran the US government that they'd be saying China's a threat? No. What country do they never talk about? The one that which country do they funnel hundreds of billions of dollars to? Which country has gotten more foreign aid than any country over the last 50 years? It's not really rocket science. But I'm not saying China has no influence. They have huge influence in America. They've built up a lot of community. They bought a lot of real estate. They're taking control of things. Absolutely. But when it comes to the establishment of American politics, China is the enemy of the establishment. The liberal gay world order wants China and Russia to stop being so strong because China and Russia are two countries that they don't really completely control. So I'm not asking you to root for China and Russia, but I'm not saying China has no influence in America. I'm not saying they don't have police stations. I'm just saying China doesn't run the US government. China doesn't have influence in the US government. The country that no one wants to talk about has influence. If China had influence, they'd pass anti-Chinetic speech laws in most states. That's not what they did. Trump, DeSantis, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Governor Kemp, they passed a different speech law. I mean, why didn't they pass a China speech law? Because China doesn't have that much influence in politics. It's just the truth. But China is very like silent. You know what I'm saying? Like they're moving in silence. So they are doing stuff in America. They're buying, they're controlling, they own a lot of property. They're not selling it. So China's going to be a player in America, no doubt. But government wise, no, in my opinion. Someone said, please help me. I'm an Indian. You want me to help you just because you're Indian? You're like, please help me. I'm an Indian. What is this, a soup kitchen? Bro, it's a political show, you know? We're not, I mean, what do you want? $1? $5? $10? What do you need? You got a Venmo? Why are you coming to my stream asking for money? I don't get it. Anyway, God bless you guys. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. I appreciate you. I went over 2 hours. I had a great time. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll be uploading this to Apple, Google, and all of the podcast networks for you crazy audio podcasters out there. For the video people on Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for being here. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed myself thoroughly. I think it went way better than yesterday. Yesterday I was running around a lot, and I don't know. I kind of got off, not got off like that. Listen, this ain't no Amazon just getting Starlink or anything, not like that. But I don't know. I felt like I was off the whole time a little bit, so I felt better today. Appreciate you. Someone said India's trying to scam you. It's not the whole nation, you racist. It's only one guy. Well, okay, it's more than one guy. Might be a call center or two. Okay, it might be like thousands of people. Okay, Pakistan might be scamming me too, but not all of them. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, no boomer jokes today. No, dude, don't ruin the stream. I just went the whole time without blaming boomers because I almost said something boomery like 4 times. You have no idea how hard it was for me to not say boomer and just say like Republican or conservative about stuff. It was like the hardest thing I've done. I was just like, don't say boomer. Come on, let's have one stream. It's like when I talk about Trump all the time, people are like, you talk about Trump all the time. It's like, he's like a big figure. I don't know what to tell you. He's like the leader of the Republican Party. He'll probably be the next president. It's hard not to talk about the guy. A lot of things revolve around him when it comes to U.S. politics. But then it's like when I get away with it and someone talks about it, I'm like, don't bring up the boomer now. We went 2 hours. No boomer slander. We love the boomers here. This is the #1 boomer show. We got 1.6 million followers on Facebook. How do we do that? With the help of the boomers. They're nice. They're kind. They're respectful. They might like Dan Bongino and Donald Trump a little bit too much, but that's okay. They're likable people. I understand. I've seen clips from both of them that I like. So let's love